Use promo code SUMMER and you get a $50 free casino play with a minimum $5 deposit. Also, tonight it is Lotto Max. And you got the daily grand on Thursday, $100 or $1,000 a day. That's what a grand would be per day. If you're going to, use your GameSense. Check that out at gamesense.ca. But a big thank you to everyone over at Play Alberta. Connor Halley with you here today, sitting in for the vacationing Jason Gregor. We've also got Wanye Gretz in studio, I think, for the entirety of the show.
If you need me.
Declan Kruger, who I know will be here for the whole thing, as Donovan Paulson, our digital producer, will keep us on track for the remainder of the day. So lots to get to, Wanye. I'll give a quick rundown of what we got coming up on this show. And you guessed it, it's pretty Oilers heavy, as you might think. Of course, we'll start off talking to Haley Taylor-Simon. She's the host of Locked On Blues. We'll get her thoughts on the offer sheets from the Edmonton Oilers to the Edmonton Oilers. I'll run through those in a second. I'm sure you know what we're talking about. Gord Stellick, former NHL general manager, and now a host on Sirius XM, will be by at about 2:40. We'll ask him, did the Oilers think this was happening? Was there a contingency plan for when it did happen? And for the St. Louis Blues, this is something they had to be looking at. I want to get a former general manager's perspective. So Gord Stellick will be by at about 2:40. Of course, it is Tuesday. So we've got Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM on as well. More than just Oilers news in the NHL. Austin Matthews was named captain. That's a big deal out in Toronto. So we'll touch on that briefly. But then we'll also go back to the offer sheets and a whole lot more with Dave McCarthy. Jason Strudwick, Got Your Back podcast co-host, former NHLer, and friend of the program, will be on at 4:20. We've got Mark Spector at 5 o'clock. And then Derek van Diest from NHL.com. So a whole lot of coverage coming your way when it comes to the old NHL offer sheet. So let's run through that very quickly here. In case you missed it, maybe you're just logging on. Maybe you're on the YouTube channel right now. Shout out Gonzo, Grava, Predolinski, Murph, Gabriella. Gabriella says, St. Louis Blues, I hate you. That's fair. Hey, if you're on YouTube, I see you. Make sure we hit that like button. Let's get 1,000 likes today. That's the goal. We're aiming big. This is what happened earlier today. When I woke up and I was rolling out of bed, I looked at my phone. It's blowing up. The St. Louis Blues offering a couple offer sheets to a few young Edmonton Oilers restricted free agents. Philip Broberg, obviously the 8th overall pick back in 2019. A young stud. 2 years, $4.58 million per year. Dylan Holloway, he was the 14th overall pick back in 2020 out of Wisconsin. He gets offered at 2 years, $2.29 million. The compensation, maybe not what people would want. I saw some people saying it should be a first-round pick. Well, the compensation, if the Oilers don't match for Philip Broberg, would be a second-round selection. They had to make a trade with the Pittsburgh Penguins to get a second-round pick. For Dylan Holloway, it is a third-round selection. Now, Dylan Holloway appearing in 89 regular season games for the Edmonton Oilers, 18 points in the postseason, 26 games, 25 of which came this past run. He had 7 points, 5 goals. Some big goals. On the back end for Philip Broberg, he's appeared in 81 regular season games, 11 points, showed continual growth. We saw him hop into the playoffs in the Western Conference Final against the Dallas Stars, scored a timely goal, appeared in 20 games, had two goals, 1 assist for 3 points total. So a couple young players who are on the rise. A few questions before we get into it. If the Edmonton Oilers match this offer, they cannot trade the two players for a year. We've had a lot of people saying, match it and then make a trade for something a little bit better. You cannot do that. If you do that, meaning matching the offer, you have them on your roster for one full season. Half the contract is gone, and they've probably shown signs of growth. Then you could make the trade, but not for 1 year. So it would be mid-August of 2026, a long ways away. Polarizing move here. I've seen a lot of people upset at Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway for signing these. Yesterday on the show, we had Zach Ling of Oilers Nation come on, and we were talking about what it might cost to sign Broberg and Holloway. He thought around $900,000. Mark Spector, covers the team, has done so for a very long time. He was thinking around $1 million. Philip Broberg was offered $4.58 million per season. He'd be crazy not to take that. Dylan Holloway, $2.29. So we're looking at over $1 million for Dylan Holloway, over $3 million for Philip Broberg, just in terms of what we thought they might get here versus where they might get elsewhere. The Edmonton Oilers can make it work. It would be Evander Kane on the LTIR. You could potentially trade away a Cody Ceci. Brett Kulak is another name people have thrown out there. You can also send a few players down to the minors. From what Puckpedia said, it was if Evander Kane starts off on the IR, you can move 3 players down to Bakersfield, and that would clear it up. But Evander Kane's going to come back at some point. When will it be? We're not too sure. So there's a whole lot to get to. Get your text in 1-833-401-1440. It is the eWell inbox. Score your power play partners at eWell. Get all your electrical needs with ewell.ca and the 24/7 ordering and shipping in Edmonton and all across Alberta. So with that all being said, Wanye, how are you feeling? You're the voice of the people.
What an unbelievable turn of events. If you're Philip Broberg right now, you're like, well, I do want to win that cup, but I also enjoy money because it can be exchanged for goods and services. How people could be mad at these guys, I mean, let's just get that out of the way. If somebody right now walked up to you and gave you $20, would you accept it, Connor?
Yeah.
What if somebody offered you $4.58 million US to do your job?
I think I would love to do that.
Philip Broberg just got 4.5 times what we thought he was going to make 24 hours earlier, sitting in these exact same chairs in the mall. That's outrageous.
It is. I mean, obviously they're going to sign it. There's going to be more opportunity as well, especially if you're Dylan Holloway. Like, if you're Philip Broberg, you're probably penciled in the top 4 with the Oilers this year, I would think. We saw him take strides going into the postseason. But Dylan Holloway, there's nothing guaranteed. I mean, the Oilers' top 9, it's loaded. I mean, they bring in Skinner, you bring in Arvidsson. Like, there's no guarantees. So if he's thinking, okay, it's more money and more an opportunity, yeah, let's do it. Let's give it a look-see. Why not? Text in here, working on his name. Hey, Gregor, I heard Oilers can go 10% over the cap, sign both guys, then Bowman has 2 months to get cap compliant. Yeah, in the offseason, you can be 10% over the cap.
Did he start that text with, hey, Gregor?
He did.
I see.
Did Gregor and I sound the same?
I guess you're turning into Gregor. Congratulations.
That's high praise. But
yeah, praise.
I'm assuming just tuned in and didn't hear me speak yet. But yeah, so they can go over 10% in the offseason, not regular season. You have to get cap compliant. And then we know what happens in the postseason. It's the wild, wild west out there, and anything goes. So we'll take your thoughts. Like, the text line's blowing up right now.
I thought when I originally read the news, it was a 2-year contract at 4.58 total. And I was like, wow, that's, a significant increase over what we thought.
Good for him.
Per year? Holy mackerel. That's like, what would the scenarios be? How do you keep these guys, Connor? What do the Oilers do to try to?
Well, I mean, I'm not a capologist, but from what I've read, a Puckpedia, this is the one I looked at in case you missed it. They say with Kane's, $5 million, give or take, on LTIR at the start of the season, you could then send 3 players to Bakersfield. So you'd be running, I believe, the bare minimum with your roster. It could be whoever you might be. Just give me 3 Oilers.
Is that a reasonable thing, though, to expect?
I think it's worth considering. Your other options would be trading away someone who has a cap hit that you want to get rid of. And Cody Ceci's the one a lot of people bring up.
What's he do to bring in next year?
3.2. Thank you, Declan. You're whispering that. Didn't even have to click Puckpedia there. So another thing that hurts the Oilers, you got James Neal's buyout. That's 1.9 million this season. Jack Campbell's 1.1. He jumps up to 2.3 next year.
Oh no.
Or the following year, sorry, then 2.6. You can look at other contracts that you might not like with the Oilers. I know Darnell Nurse's contract has been pointed out. Yeah, you'd love a little bit lower there. I think another one people talk about would be Corey Perry with that 1.15. Could he have not been league min? Maybe that would have been something that could have helped them out just to get a little bit closer. It's all hindsight, though. And I mean, the Edmonton Oilers, Jeff Jackson was around when all these contracts were being signed, this year. He had to know this was a possibility. You can't just sit there and think no one's going to RFA, like make these offer sheets to our guys. Well, because we think they're good players. Other teams are going to know it. And, Broberg at 4.5 mil, like right now, maybe that's a lot, but maybe next year at this time, after playing in the top 4, you're thinking that's not a bad deal.
I don't understand. And normally this would be the kind of thing I would listen to sports radio to try to figure out, but due to a series of unfortunate circumstances, we are on sports radio today, Connor. How on earth, why would St. Louis do this? One, and why did 2 players? Who do these people think they are? This isn't a common strategy being deployed. And the numbers, how did they arrive at these numbers?
It's a good question. The 2 players, I think it's probably, and it's very funny because we had Dave McCarthy on last week, who's coming up today. And I remember it very, very much. It was either Gregor or Terry Ryan asked him about the St. Louis Blues. And he said, what are the Blues doing? And Dave just kind of stared blankly. Like, well, what do you mean? And then Gregor kind of laughed. Yeah, well, they've done nothing. And he's like, yeah, oh yeah, like they've done nothing this offseason.
You think he knew?
No, I don't. Maybe. But I think it was more of a, what have they done? And then a week later, here we are. I don't know. I think if you're a team that has money to spend and the assets, like you're not worried about giving up a second and a third for players that can play next right now, I think it's good management by the Blues. Recognizing that the Edmonton Oilers are over the cap already. We won't like it in Edmonton, but it's kind of savvy GM strategy, I think.
I know the Canadians
I respect the
and
game.
the Hurricanes have been RFA offering each other and going to war that way together. But who else? Is there any precedent for this?
Well, I mean, you remember Dustin Penner.
Well, I was going to say, we remember that was 5 first rounders, though. That was a slightly different transaction.
I think that might have led to a potential fight between the two GMs, wasn't it?
Barn.
Berkey and Kevin Lowe.
And then Gary Bettman had to get involved. Those were the good old days.
Yeah, that's we settled it back then.
Yeah, in Barnes.
Yeah, it's something. Like,
is there precedent for this, though? Like a double offer sheet on 2 different players of the same
not
team?
Not that I remember. Not the same team. I mean, even if you go back offer sheets, they're not that common. It's something that is allowed. You're more than welcome to do it. But to go after a team with 2, I'm saying it now. Conor McDavid, when they played the Blues point night, this was supposed to be the best summer of his life. And they're picking apart his team. Point night for Conor McDavid. Next time you go to play Alberta, you take the over. He's going to do it. But that's down the road.
My other question is, like, is this going to kick off a new era of teams doing this to each other? If this works and they get Philip Broberg for, what, a 3rd round draft pick?
He would be a second,
and then Holloway's a third.
Yes.
So like a 2nd and a 3rd round draft pick, relatively speaking, for 2 roster players, including a top 4D. Not a lot to give up.
No,
is this going to become a more play in the playbook move?
Well, yeah, I think every year teams must look at it. But how many? And if you looked at like prospect level or guys that are right on the cusp of making that jump to the NHL that are RFAs, and then you have to factor in that they're also on a team that has no cap space, literally over the cap already. I think it's just circumstances of a observant general manager. I would hope all GMs would do this. It's part of their job, but just saying, hey, if this happens, we can get 2 roster players for nothing at the moment. Future assets that wouldn't have impacted our team for 5 years, being 2nd or 3rd round picks. So I respect it. I think that's good management by the St. Louis staff. And you know who's over there?
Well, this is my next question. But when you think about what teams have given up and we've seen like down the stretch before the playoffs and the trade deadline versus what it's costing here to get these 2 players, like this is a completely different transaction. My next question, you don't suppose Peter Chiarelli was behind this strategy, do you?
People are talking.
Oof.
People are really talking about that. We had a few people say, well, maybe the Oilers go after Jake Neighbors next year.
With what cap room?
And that's what I think. What cap space? The Oilers are going to be a competitive team. I don't think they're like, Jake Neighbors is what we need to fill the void. Like, we're at a place in the Edmonton Oilers history, in my opinion, where they're going to be okay. Like, they'll find the Victor Arvidssons who will sign for cheaper, the Jeff Skinners, Adam Henrique signed for cheaper. People are going to want to play with this team and they'll sign for cheaper. This one here kind of got them.
At the risk of actually being on the radio, please, nobody listening think I actually know what I'm talking about. But Philip Broberg for $4.58 million, I don't know how you keep that going here with the salaries we're due to pay out next year.
And I mean, like, that's more than Evan Bouchard, who's making 3.9, I believe. It's for me personally, I say like this year, yeah, for the relative unknown what it might be. But what if he has a really good year next year and you have under contract for 4.5? It's a little high. You still do have to pay Evan Bouchard. You got to negotiate, in the back of your mind, whatever Draisaitl's number is going to be, and then McDavid in the upcoming years, not this year right now. But I tell you, if Stan Bowman wanted a way to try to prove himself with Oilers fans, he's going to get the opportunity in the next week here, depending on what he does, because the Oilers have a week to match. If they don't match,
a week,
yeah, they'll collect 2nd and 3rd, and they'll lose those 2 players. I feel like they keep 1. Kay asks, if you're not in love with Bro, let him go.
Well, it rhymes too, and most good decisions rhyme.
Philip Broberg, important to note, did request a trade back in December. So it's not like he has undying love for the city of Edmonton and the Oilers organization. Like, he wanted out.
He requested a trade.
Yeah, it wasn't going to happen. But back in December, he did. That's it. And we're getting a lot of people kind of sending in offer sheets, like the Oilers did one back in the day with Thomas Vanek.
Oh, I remember that.
I
do remember that.
We had, I believe it was Montana DeReyes and the Flyers, and Shea Weber was another one. in certain situations, it can really benefit the team. Like if the Oilers, hypothetically, were kind of like, oh, we don't know what to pay Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway, and they had a ton of cap space, you wouldn't even think about it, right?
The market just set the price.
There's the price. Now, thank you for that very much, St. Louis. We appreciate it. But that salary cap's getting in the way.
We were sitting here talking yesterday about how Corey Perry at 1.4 was a high pay. 4.68 for Dylan Broberg. 5.8?
4.58, yeah.
Yeah, that's... Whew.
Some people asking, who is the GM over there in St. Louis? Doug Armstrong. And Peter Chiarelli is in the front office.
He's been biding his time.
Never should have let him go. Wouldn't that be funny if they were in a meeting like, what do we do, boys? How do we build up this roster? And he just kind of, I got something, guys.
He just walks in with 4 briefcases, opens each of them in turn with 10 file folders in each one, and lays them out on the table, and they all just say Broberg, Holloway.
This is what we do. Big Rig says he only requested out because he wanted playing time and they weren't playing him. Absolutely. For sure. That's the reason, but he still requested a trade.
Yeah.
He wasn't sitting there saying, I love it in Edmonton. I'll never leave here and I'll bide my time. He said, get me somewhere I'll play. And this would give him the opportunity to play. And he'd be
especially
a rich
that
man.
kind of money. Yeah.
Absolutely. I could not fault him if he said, you know what, I'm going. Well, he obviously did because he agreed to it, as did Dylan Holloway. But now power's in the Oilers' hands and they have to figure it out. Let us know. What would you do? What would you do? 1-833-401-1440. Do you have a preference in one over the other? Would you try to keep them both? Would you let them both walk? Let us know. We'll get to those texts throughout this show because, my goodness, we have a ton of texts coming in here. Propane P says, hard to blame Broberg. He'll make $9 million over 2 years. And the best the Oilers could do would likely be $3 million over 2 years. How does he make up that 6? Holloway's the guy that you signed, but also the guy that could have made money back with the Oilers. He's getting $5 million over 2 years and likely would have gotten 3 over 2. Stanley says Bowman's thinking, what did I just get myself into? Well, hey, man, you're back in the NHL.
Yeah, this is what being a GM is. You're getting rated, bro.
You got to find a way to make it work. And then we also got Rick here. Can we sign Broberg to that offer sheet and then trade him somewhere else? No. If you give him the offer sheet, sorry if you're watching on YouTube, my headphones are crapping out on me, so I can't hear myself right now. We'll just roll with it.
You sound great.
Thank you. Now they just popped back into position. That's great. If Broberg or Dylan Holloway do sign with the Edmonton Oilers, if the offer is matched, they cannot trade them for 1 year. So it'd be mid-August of 2025 before you could trade him. I also had some people during Fantasy Frenzy saying, sign them and then send them to Bakersfield.
What?
So in that case, you'd be leaving $1.29 million of cap space on the Oilers roster with Holloway in Bakersfield, and Broberg would have $3.58 million against the cap in Edmonton while he's playing in Bakersfield. That won't happen.
A guy who wanted to leave in December for not getting playing time, getting a 4.5 times raise and then sent to the A?
Yeah.
Genius, smooth brain.
It was interesting. Reed says 4.5 mil for Broberg. It's a big overpay. Holloway is expendable, no offense. That came in from Reagan. Sorry. Yeah, I think that when you look at it, the Oilers are deep on the forward position. Like everyone they have out there can play. So you don't need Holloway. You could let him go. I think a lot of Oilers fans like the upside there and would love to see him stay. But it happens. That happens for good teams. You lose good players.
But like, why couldn't the Blues have offered $3.25 million a year for him? Like, why? How do they come to this precise number?
I have to dig into that one.
For this number specifically, one more dollar puts them into a different round of pick compensation for each player.
Aha!
Thank you, Declan.
Good job, Declan.
Very good. And one more before we go to break. Hey, boys. Great show. What the Oilers do in the next 7 days could possibly define the entire era of the Oilers. This is big from Roddy.
Roddy, let's just take a deep breath.
No pressure here. Keep the text coming, though. Man, we got a lot to get to here. On the show today, we're going to talk to Gord Stellick, former NHL general manager, now a part of Sirius XM NHL. We'll get his thoughts on this decision and, what it could mean, what the game plan will be for the Edmonton Oilers in the next week here. Of course, Dave McCarthy of Sirius XM as well. Jason Strudwick, former NHLer, co-host and Got Your Back. We got Spet coming up at 5 o'clock. Derek Van Diest of NHL.com. But coming up next, we'll discuss those St. Louis Blues with Haley Taylor Simon, host of the Locked On Blues podcast. That's coming up next on the Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Rule number 41, never challenge a goose in the Bow Valley. They run this town and they know it. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Be melon jolly, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt. And fan favorites, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase style, regular season gameplay, and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2011 and 2016. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to call Legacy. Call Legacy. For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
For over 65 years, Denham Ford has delivered the customer service and value that keeps Albertans moving. And nothing moves Albertans better than Canada's best-selling truck, the Ford F-150. Here now with rates as low as 0% or savings up to $17,000. That's the value you've come to expect from where cars always cost less. 0% or $17,000 off F-150s. Only at Denham Ford in Wetaskiwin or at denhamford.ca.
Are you afraid of losing your car or home due to debt? Don't let fear or shame hold you back from seeking help. Bankruptcy is not the only option. A consumer proposal can reduce your monthly payments, lower your overall debt, and allow you to keep your assets. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I'm here to help you tackle your debt. Take the first step towards regaining control of your finances. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Get your Elks Party Bus ticket now, $35, which includes a game ticket, a ride there and back, access to the Lower Bowl party deck, and a prepaid Coors Light. Book your ticket now at ontherocksedmonton.com, Jasper Ave, and 118th.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Double offer sheeted by the Blues and you Rick roll us out of commercial break?
Well, I was thinking it was more along the lines of we're never going to give Broberg and Holloway up, right? Like never going to give you up.
I see. It's a subliminal message.
100%.
He's playing 7D chess, Connor. The Blues are playing 7D chess, trying to snatch 2 roster players off of our program for a second and a third round draft pick. It's outlandish.
It is. It's something. Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanya Gretz with you, Declan Kruger, and Donovan Paulson as well. I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Doug Armstrong. I respect the game, man. I like that move.
He's first man on the moon.
He did it.
It was Neil Armstrong.
Neil,
Connor.
but
they're brothers.
His cousins, I think.
Is that what it is? First cousins?
That's what I heard.
Checkbookpedia.
The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. You can go over right now. Use promo code SUMMER and get a $50 free casino play with a minimum $5 deposit. And of course, tonight, Lotto Max. Make sure you go get your ticket right now. Let's talk a little St. Louis Blues. Now, we'll go around the NHL. We'll do so for McDonald's. When everything is going up in price, McDonald's has lowered their price on the premium roasted coffee. All sizes are cheaper, and a small is just $1 only at McDonald's. And might I also recommend you get the app, and then you get your frozen coffees for only $1 too. That's what I do every day.
Every single day?
Every single day. Extra sweetener for me.
Because you heard an ad on the Gregor Show.
Yeah.
And then you responded to it.
Then I went to McDonald's.
Advertising works.
Advertising works. Absolutely. Right now, we're going to be joined by Haley Taylor Simon, covers the St. Louis Blues for Locked On Blues. Haley, good afternoon. Thank you so much for doing this today.
Good afternoon and happy to be here.
Well, Haley, I'm sure you know it's been a little bit crazy here in Edmonton. A lot of Edmonton Oilers fans a little bit kind of mind blown to hear the news this morning of the offer sheets offered to Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg. I want to ask you, in St. Louis, was this something that you guys saw happening? Maybe not necessarily with these two players, but potentially some offer sheets being thrown out there.
Yeah, it was something that Doug Armstrong actually kind of mentioned about a couple months ago that he had some interest in. So I was a little surprised to myself to see the news this morning. I did not expect it to be at all Edmonton. I thought maybe they would go with a team that, wasn't as talented just because the Blues, they don't have the best roster, as we know. So I was really shocked that it was Edmonton, if I'm going to be honest with you. And it's a tough situation for the Oilers right now.
You're telling us. I mean, in Edmonton, it's like, how do they create that cap space to try to find a way to keep them the compensation a lot of Oilers fans not too happy with, but that's the way this process goes. So when you look at the St. Louis Blues, let's say hypothetically the Oilers are unable to create this space. Where do they slot into the lineup, maybe starting with Dylan Holloway? Is he someone who might find a spot on the third line, or where do you think he would be a fit for this team?
It's funny that you said that. So on my podcast, I literally just said that he would be in the third line potentially. He's a great depth piece player. I wouldn't necessarily say fourth line just because I don't feel like, he obviously has talent, and with the Blues' roster, not to put them down in any way, it's not like it's the Oilers where they have just all these superstars. So I feel like he could be in the third or maybe even the second. So that's how I feel about with him. Now, Broberg, on the other hand, he could be our second pair defenseman, 100%. No doubt.
And I mean, it's kind of a nice thing. Not only do you get two young players for a couple of years, keep them in their system, but also these guys have played in the playoffs, the Stanley Cup Finals. So they bring that experience as well. Although the Blues do have a couple guys, I think, remaining from the Stanley Cup team. Nice to bring someone in like that. How have you graded the Blues offseason, outside of these two moves? Because it was just a week ago on our station, we had the Blues pop up, and it was kind of a thought process where they really haven't done a whole lot, but, now today making some noise.
I gave it a D+. I don't think they did anything that amazing. I mean, I know they got Suter and Foxa. And listen, I understand the Joseph brothers have potential, but they're not superstars. And the whole time I said St. Louis needed to get high-profile players. You get two guys that were drafted in the first round. So that is a huge thing that the Blues really needed to capitalize on. And it's all the credit to Edmonton. I mean, you have a team that is one of the best teams in the National Hockey League. You have the best player in the National Hockey League with Conor McDavid. So to go after players on that team and that type of talent, it just goes to show that there is so much value in Edmonton.
Yeah, and it could be a situation just with that the Oilers are in right now. They're $300,000 over the cap. There's some talk of Evander Kane starting the season on the LTIR, which would help them out, but it wouldn't be enough to keep both of these players. We'll have to see which way it might go for this team. Now, I will tell you, Haley, we have a lot of Oilers fans saying, if this happens, there's got to be revenge, and you got to throw a Jake Neighbors offer sheet next year.
Oh,
Do we see
no.
Jake Neighbors potentially getting locked up at some point here to maybe avoid that?
Yeah, 100%. So when it comes to the Blues as superstars, you obviously have Robert Thomas, and the next guy up would be Jake Neighbors. So they need to keep him safe. There is no way I would be okay with getting rid of Jake Neighbors. It's funny, revenge on the Blues when Edmonton is clearly the better team, even if we do get these two players.
Yeah. I mean, the Oilers fans, we got good memories, and Jake Neighbors, former Oil King. So I think a lot of Oilers fans would love to see him back, but we're not too sure exactly. So if you had to guess, Haley, what do you think is going to happen here? Do you think that the Blues end up with both players, one or the other, or neither?
So I think the Blues are going to actually end up with both players just because of the situation of the cap space situation that Edmonton is in. However, I would be a little bit curious to see what Edmonton's going to do within these next 7 days. If I were the Oilers, I would really, really try to keep Broberg. I think that would be the strongest move to make. Holloway, I feel like while he does have a lot of depth, especially, with this past playoff run, he really showcases talent. I wouldn't be so, okay with getting rid of a really strong defenseman, but the Blues need him. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I really hope they get both of them.
I remember when the Oilers went and offered an offer sheet for Dustin Penner to the Ducks. And I think it was 5 first-round draft picks they would have had to give up. And the indignation of Ducks fans being like, who do you think you are? And what do you think you're doing? I now feel it on the other end. I get it. Who the hell do you Blues fans and executives think you are? And what are you doing?
Well, okay. I will say this. If you want a reason to maybe not be as upset with the Blues, just think about how we feel. We won the Stanley Cup only 5 years ago, and now we're a joke of an NHL team.
I kind of feel better.
So that maybe helps a little bit. I'm surprised too. Like, I really am surprised. And I think all day I've just been like, wait, the Blues actually did something. Doug Armstrong's alive. And again, Alexander Steen's going to take over for Doug Armstrong in a couple years as GM. So this is Doug's final time to make some moves for, his legacy here in St. Louis. So I'm not surprised that he's going all out, but an offer sheet. I thought the Austin Matthews news the other day was crazy. I'm like, okay, St. Louis taking the headlines.
If you end up snatching these players from us, know that Holloway is a fan favorite. And Broberg looked great, and he was in the finals, and he was getting seasoned with some very valuable experience. So these are two very good roster players that this does end up working.
I know, and that's why I'm surprised too. I mean, ages 23 and 22, young guys. I really was surprised about this, especially, and I'm going to be transparent. When Doug said that he was going to maybe do something like this, again, the age thing, I thought maybe, late 20s, early 30s. I never thought he would go after some young developed players, especially. Again, this is me putting the Blues down to make you feel better, but talented players that actually could potentially be a huge, spotlight on this team. And maybe it's okay. I know I'm in Edmonton territory and I don't want to be too critical. Maybe this is an opportunity for these players to really shine in St. Louis because they wouldn't be able to do that necessarily with the Oilers.
Yeah, I mean, it would certainly be a great opportunity for the players if they get there. Both guys upside, young, both taken inside the top 15 of their respective drafts. So if it happens, it would be a great move for the Blues. The Oilers fans might be a little sour for a while.
I feel bad. I'm so happy, but I know how passionate Edmonton is about their hockey. And I respect the Oiler fans so much. One of my favorite things, and this is going a little bit off the record, when I'm watching the playoffs, is how passionate it is with the national anthem, the Canadian national anthem, and just the pride that everybody has in oil country. So I feel bad. I'm like, we're taking something away that makes me happy, but you have draft picks.
Compensation's good.
If you snatched up a Harvard man, though, and used him against us, know that our revenge will be simmering for a long time. And there's someone right now at Harvard that we're going to bring in even smarter and wackier. And he'll offer 5 offer sheets to you 5 years after we win the cup.
Oh, well, I can tell you this. You probably are going to win the cup and continue on being good. We're going to still try to just make it to a wild card spot.
You're really nice. I've kind of ran out of my distaste for St. Louis fans. If they're all like you, you're very nice people.
Oh, well, I'm just really realistic. And I think us Blues fans, we're just so down as it is. Like, it's just been down bad for the past couple seasons that at this point, you could literally sign us. Well, I don't like Kane. I don't think a lot of people like Evander Kane, but
Oh no.
I would still be happy. I'm just saying that I think we just needed some bigger names. And I think this is what it's going to take to get at least playoff contention talk.
Absolutely. Well, Haley, thanks so much for doing this on such short notice. We appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
There you go. That is Haley Taylor Simon, covers the St. Louis Blues for the Locked On Blues podcast.
That really wasn't the confrontation I thought it would be, Connor. She seemed very nice.
Yeah, not a bad
apologetic. Said we were going to win the cup. Like, how hard can we be on the St. Louis Blues if they all reflect that?
Well, we'll still be ripping those guys out of oil country. Around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. Also, go get a $1 cone or a $2 sundae. The rain has moved on. The weather is warm again. Great temperature to go grab a cone at McDonald's for only $1. Cracker Jack says Kane on the IR and CC traded would work. Connor, it would until Kane needs to come off the LTIR. We don't know how long the procedure, the rehab would be on that process. If it was going to, take us right to game 82, be perfect timing. It'd work out quite well. CC being traded. I mean, I think there's a lot of teams that could use a Cody CC. So yeah, I think he would have a market. You might have to accept the fact that you are trading from a spot of desperation, and maybe it's going to cost you a little bit more than you'd want, giving away like an NHL defenseman like Cody CC. But that's an option. Brett Kulak's been a name that's been thrown out there as well that could potentially be moved. So we really do have to wait and see how this all plays out. Like we said, you got 7 days.
That's what blows me away about this. For a second round and a third round draft pick versus what we may have to give up to get rid of a Cody CC. Like, you're really not giving up a lot here.
You might have to hypothetically throw in that third round pick to get rid of Cody CC. But if you do that, you're keeping Dylan Holloway, so it's not even a third round pick you'd be getting.
What was the other trade the Blues made to the Penguins? It was like a 5th round pick for a 9th round pick. It was outrageously boring.
Well, they had to do that to get the third round pick. The Blues acquired a 2022 second rounder and a 2025 third rounder. Sorry, that was the Penguins. The Blues get a second round pick next year and a 5th round pick in 2026.
What a snoozer until they lowered the boom.
So they get a 2025 second rounder so they can make the Broberg offer, and they send their 2026 second rounder back to Pittsburgh. They must be buddies, those general managers. Oiler from the hat says Oilers put Kane on LTI and start the season with 20 players. They can make it work. Yeah, like I've said a ton of times here, Puckpedia has said you can send 3 Oilers players down to Baco and put Kane on LTIR. That gives you $8-ish million, and you're good.
But let's think about this. Then you're just running it's like driving around with your car on E all year. If you have any injuries, if anybody goes stone cold, you have no flexibility.
Yeah, I mean,
you're putting yourself in a very bad situation if you do that.
You have an injury, all of a sudden you got to try to figure things out. It's tough. It's tough. The situation they're in right now. And, this is what happens though while you fly so close to the sun. Is it Chris or something like that?
Ludacris, the rapper.
Ludacris, yes.
Ludacris
too close to the sun. Like, you're playing a dangerous game when you're sitting over the cap and you have 2 RFAs right out there who are both former first round picks on the rise in their career and don't have contracts. Like I said, I've said it a few times. This was just good general management work from the other side. Armstrong made a good move here. The Oilers have a chance to fix it and figure it all out. But by signing the contracts that they have and having the dead cap from James Neal and Campbell, you're opening yourself up to this situation.
But you need it's 23-man roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need that. You can't be running a 20-man roster, no backup goalie, all this wacky stuff. You got to say, hey, you know what? Broberg, for that kind of money, you may have played your final game in the copper and blue, even though we haven't used copper in quite some time.
Man, hey, it's very well a possibility. I'm really intrigued to see what Stan Bowman does here. This is a chance to, like I said, you could endear yourselves to Oilers fans here. No matter what he does, he's going to make some happy and some mad. Because I've seen it coming into the text line, 1-833-401-1440. Some people are saying, let them walk. Keep the picks, let them walk. Others are saying there's no chance you can lose those guys for that compensation.
Well, let's think that through, though. Let's say you let them walk. Who now steps up into the places of Broberg and Holloway? Like, who's going to use this to their advantage? On D, how do you replace him?
Well, I mean, the Oilers didn't use him for a long time. Now, Vinny Desharnais had jumped into that spot, right?
Exactly.
I think if you're looking on the forward lines here, like for Dylan Holloway, I want to say the top 6 is pretty much locked in. You got Nuge, McDavid, Hyman.
Not at risk.
Skinner, Draisaitl, Arvidsson.
Locked in.
What's your third line going to be? Henrique, Holloway. Right now, daily faceoff. Fine, folks.
Good.
As it Henrique, Holloway, Perry.
Fourth line.
Brown, Ryan, Janmark.
Janmark and Brown. I know that we changed the lines up, and debating lines is kind of a funny thing because they never last more than 30 seconds. With what we saw in the Stanley Cup Finals with Brown and Janmark, they have to keep those guys together. They have undeniable chemistry that can't be broken up, even if they're fourth line.
Now, on the back end here, see, this is where if you lose Philip Broberg, which I'm going to say on record, I don't think they will. I think they're going to keep Philip Broberg.
You think so, for real?
I think they will. Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, Broberg, Kulak, Ceci. That's what you have right now on Daily Faceoff.
So Desharnais gone and Broberg gone. Who slots in?
Well, they made some moves in the offseason. Brought in, you got Troy Stetcher, right? Would that be someone you might look to play? Josh Brown?
Love Josh Brown.
Those are your two options. So that'd be it. So I don't know. I will say Dylan Holloway, good player. But you can lose a forward and replace him a little easier than a guy like Philip Broberg, in my opinion.
Well, and listening to those
I think
lines,
your back end needs him.
I don't hear big holes here versus like, let's only ice 18 players. We could play a power or penalty kill at all times. Like, I think too risky.
It's fun. I love it. I didn't know what we were going to talk about today on the show. And now all of a sudden we've got tons to get to.
I've got two major things I want to discuss, and we haven't even had a chance to get to either of them.
We haven't talked to Larry Thompson reportedly buying the Edmonton Elks.
3 things I want to talk about.
Nathan Rourke back in the CFL.
4 things I want to talk about.
We'll talk about those at the top of the hour. Coming up next, we're going to be joined by Gord Stellick, former NHL general manager, also with SiriusXM NHL. Get his thoughts on this whole thing. He's been in these rooms. He's been a general manager in the NHL. He knows these things. So we're going to talk to Gord about that. We've got Dave McCarthy, Jason Strudwick, Derek van Diest, Mark Spector, and a whole lot more coming up on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson, sitting in the show, as always, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
The cheesy burger pizza is back at Papa John's.
See what happens when you ask for it?
Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the Cheesy Burger Trio or choose between the large Cheesy Burger Pizza for $18.99, Cheesy Burger Papadilla for $9.99, and Bacon Cheesy Burger Papa Bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Cheesy Burger Pizza at Papa John's.
Weeknights from 6 to 9, it's Turn Sports with me, Navin Ramarak. Tune in tonight right after the Jason Gregor Show as we'll cover sports from around the world and also right here in Edmonton, exclusively on Sports 1440.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
You turn on the tap and water comes out. You press the handle and flush the toilet. Living in our modern world, we sometimes take for granted or don't even think about all of the services and conveniences that are around us every day. But GS Construction does. Right under your feet, there's a whole network of underground infrastructure that needs to be built and maintained in order to have these basic services. GS Construction has been laying the groundwork for your community for 50 years. Find out more by going to gsconstruction.ca.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
They say at any given moment, only 7% of people are looking for a car, and that 7% notices advertising for cars. Everyone else, 93%, doesn't even hear it. So this ad is just for the 93% who aren't going to really notice any car ads right now anyway. Hey, it's Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. And I hope you, yes, you, the person listening right now, I hope you have a great day. Anyway, that's it. I'm done.
Also, Oilers Nation YouTube and Twitter, or X. You can watch us on Sports 1440's Instagram. A hot way to watch content these days if you scrolling through the gram and you want to watch us. We do appreciate it. Everyone on YouTube, I see ya. Ty, Armaeus, Michael, Devin, Joe Opinionated, and more. Please hit that like button. We would appreciate that. Goes a long way. Coming to you live from the eWell studio here in West Edmonton Mall. My name is Connor Halley, sitting in for Jason Gregor for the next couple of weeks here. We also have Wanye Gretz of Oilers Nation here, Declan Kruger, and Donovan Paulson keeping us on track. We're going to get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company. Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches taking your team or group to their next destination safely. Visit silentrides.ca for more information. We now bring in former NHL general manager, host on Sirius XM NHL, Gord Stellick, to the program. Gord, thank you so much for doing this today. How are you?
Well, I'm good. Getting a little dribs and drabs of hockey news, so it's going to be pretty soon, right?
It's something, right? We're getting a little bit of a tease here, and for the Edmonton Oilers fans, maybe something. I don't know if they were expecting it to happen or how big of a surprise it is. But I wanted to ask you, if you were a member of the Oilers front office here, and you're in the situation that you are, you're $300,000 over the cap. You've got two young RFAs who look to be, heading into the primes of their career. You have to be expecting that a team might throw an offer sheet their way, right?
No question. I'm a little bit surprised it's not used more often. You can see, Montreal and Carolina had a little bit of history, and one was, of course, the Sebastian Aho situation, what actually worked out well for Carolina, that Montreal did the heavy lifting, getting the contract done. And then, of course, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and, that's a precedent not a precedent, but that's kind of an example that Edmonton has to consider which way they're going. But, Jeff Jackson, and of course, I know Stan Bowman's now the general manager, but did a real, almost surprising, outstanding job in what players and how many he was able to retain. So that did make them, if you want to call it, vulnerable for some restricted free agent situations. So I would think they wouldn't be surprised in the slightest.
Now, what do you think you would do if you were in the situation? I mean, we've had some people send in their suggestions. Evander Kane to the LTIR. Maybe you're looking to trade away a defenseman. Cody Ceci, Brett Kulak were some names dropped. Also, there is the option to send players down to the minors. What would you think could be some options if the Edmonton Oilers do want to retain both these players?
Well, first you have to prioritize which you want to keep them both, but I think you got to target one. I mean, to me, the defenseman's always the more valuable commodity. He's also more expensive, but so you are going to be looking in the next few days. Everyone dreams of that kind of deal, like to unload Cody Ceci money and obviously give something up to clear some cap space. So that's what you'd be doing nowadays in the cap world. First of all, getting a handle on things, where in fact you think it will settle in the next few weeks, what are the challenges and that, and then you've got to make the decision in the next couple of days about whether you match or let them go. So it's obviously three-pronged. One is about being able to retain both players. The other two options about one player but not the other, and how you go about it. And again, like I say, this is something that was understood when you're hard at the cap and you have RFAs, that there is a vulnerability, and sure enough, it happened.
Gord Stellick of Sirius XM NHL and former NHL general manager joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you here today, sitting in for Jason. Now, I to be honest with you, I really like this from Doug Armstrong. Like, I think this is kind of a heads up play, trying to improve your team, because they had been kind of criticized this offseason for not doing a whole much. And now you have a chance to bring in two very good young players. Should we be giving Doug Armstrong some praise here for the creativity and trying to find maybe a less taken route to find a way to improve your team?
Absolutely. It's and again, so you're looking at 2 first-round picks that have garnered some experience and seem to have a lot of potential. And your downside is the 2nd-round pick in one case and a 3rd-round pick as compensation in the other. You're paying a little bit more early on, a little bit more probably than they would have got in Edmonton, or we're negotiating towards. But that's what you do. You decide, okay, I got a chance to do it. I'm looking at, obviously, if it's a team that wasn't in cap trouble, you wouldn't do it because they would have the resources to quickly match. But I give Doug Armstrong credit for being aggressive. It's all about, hey, there's 32 teams, and the 31 others aren't worrying about you. You got to worry about your own situation. And St. Louis has had a disappointing couple of years. They knew there was going to be a sense of retooling along the way, but it's been a little bit tougher sledding, I think, the last couple of years than he would have thought. So this is, I think, a solid way to add one or two assets.
Now, we've had a few of our texters saying, if they're going to come after our guys, the Oilers should go after Jake Neighbors next year when he's in a similar situation. Do you think general managers think of it that way at all? Like, is there any concern that, hey, if I do this to some people, maybe other teams will come after us the same fashion?
So, well, you shouldn't, if you're Doug Armstrong, you shouldn't be concerned about that, I wouldn't think. But, you talk about business being business, and everything is, up in front, and that's why they do it. But, Connor, let's face it, things do get personal. And it's not it's not like you'd make a move that you're not going to make a move just predicated on, okay, I'm going to show you. I mean, it's got to be something that is attractive to your organization, to your team. So I could see that, maybe being something saying that, okay, it's something we may have looked at, but now we're kind of really going to look at that. There's a little bit of that. I can't speak for Stan Bowman and or Jeff Jackson or anybody else about that, but there is an element of that.
Couple more before we let you go here. I got to ask you, just because we haven't had you on in a little while here, what did you make of the Oilers offseason, bringing in Jeff Skinner, Victor Arvidsson, and then finding a way to keep some crucial players like Adam Henrique? They get Connor Brown back. You have Corey Perry as well. How did you think they did this offseason?
Outstanding. And I mean, when July 1st happened, in and around July 1st, so obviously Nashville, with all that happened, were the stars. Steven Stamkos, the reality that we didn't think was going to happen, but him going to Nashville and the other pieces they added. So, I looked at that. They were the stars of the day. And then you looked at some other teams that did things. And boy, Edmonton, you're able to keep your complete third line in that regard. So just Arvidsson, I'm really big on. So I really had the Oilers up there. Whatever I don't know what number of teams I'd give an A to, but they certainly would be one of them. So I was very impressed with the work that Jeff Jackson and his staff did in and around July 1st.
And my final question for you before we let you go, a team you're familiar with, the Toronto Maple Leafs, making, well, they didn't make the announcement, I guess, but it's kind of been leaked out there that Austin Matthews will inherit the seat from John Tavares. What do you think about that decision for the Maple Leafs?
Connor, I see a lot about, similarities in Edmonton, in that Conor McDavid's been a captain for a while, and Austin Matthews is that guy in Toronto. And, okay, it's not like if Austin Matthews wore the C, the guys would have tried any harder this particular past playoff. But I think there was an understanding that, this is going to be Austin Matthews' team, like Edmonton is Connor McDavid's team. And you got to do better in the playoffs. And Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, William Nylander, John Tavares, Morgan Riley, they got to do better in the playoffs. It's got to be a playoff that you're talking about, one or two Leafs playoff performances, not their regular season performances. So this was going to be inevitable. But, time's a ticking, and I give John Tavares a lot of credit. I think, obviously, he was in on it. I think it was a very unselfish move by him. I mean, this is the guy that went to play for Team Canada in the Worlds. He did a solid job there. He was captain of Team Canada, played really well. They had a disappointing elimination, right, in the kind of the sudden death type game. So I really commended him for acquiescing to it. I also think, Connor, it takes some pressure off him. He's in the final year of that 7-year contract, and who knows where it's going to go down in the future, but he can just kind of focus on playing hockey. But there's going to be a leadership group that's still going to include Tavares, that had Matthews before. I mean, that's going to be still the key, like it is with any team. But I view this move as a positive moving forward. You know what? It's Austin Matthews' team. Let's make it his team in every way, shape, or form. Wearing the C is a big thing, and it seems to be especially a big thing for a Canadian-based NHL team.
Yeah, absolutely. You're in the mecca of hockey there. So I like it. Seems kind of like the natural progression, and very cool for Austin Matthews to wear the C for the historic franchise. Gord, thanks so much for doing this today. A kind of short notice. We appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, my pleasure, Connor. You take care.
You as well. There you go. Gord Stellick, one of the best guys out there, joining us here. You can see him on Sirius XM satellite radio, also former NHL general manager. So appreciate him coming on. That was our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company. SilentRides.ca for more information. A couple more texts to get to before we head out of here. Now, we've had this come in a few times. Could the Oilers retain Broberg and Holloway and then trade their rights? That comes in from Iron. You cannot trade them for a year. So if the Oilers, let's say tomorrow they match, they're just like, we're doing it. Forget it. you could not trade them till August 14th, 2025. At which point you've already paid them a year. I'm assuming Philip Broberg's going to be looking pretty dang good next year. And then you're going to say, well, why would I trade him? Unless you think you're going to lose him or something the next year. But yeah, so it's not for a year.
But how do those numbers work? If you're keeping Nurse and you're paying Ekholm, and then Bouchard requires approximately $1 trillion.
Yeah.
How are you going to be paying Broberg 4.5?
Well, here's what you say. I don't know. Cap goes up, you hope. Also,
in 12 months, isn't that preset already?
Well, and then you also have, so James Neal comes off for the dead money. That's 1.9 mil, but Jack Campbell's jumps up from like 1.1 to 2.3.
So it basically cancels each other out.
After that, the following years. So yeah, it goes right up there. Trade doesn't seem like a possibility. I mean, you're probably doing a little bit of like a graph with like things coming down. I don't know the specific name for it, but like what happens if we let him go? Well, we keep this cap space. We get compensation. Do we have the players to fill that role? For Holloway, yeah. For Broberg, not quite as good. Who's out there right now that you could fill that spot with? I don't know. People asking about Marcus Niemelainen. He's currently a UFA. So I think that ship is sailed. 26 years old. I wouldn't expect him to be someone they look at. I don't know. I just got a hunch. I got a hunch they'll try to keep Broberg. Maybe I'll be wrong.
Well, you know what's up, Connor. I would never disagree with you. You know that.
Oh, that's why you're here.
Yeah,
I'm my yes man.
Exactly.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk maybe some Elks. Some big news in the CFL as well. We'll get to Dave McCarthy and do a whole lot more. Another edition of Wanye's World where we'll give away some free Oodle Noodle. Who doesn't like free Oodle Noodle? That and more. But first, we're going to get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Ewell, supplying the city of champions in all of Alberta with great electrical gear since 1976. Order yours now at ewell.ca. Here is Declan Kruger.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the NHL world. You've heard it here on the Jason Gregor Show as the St. Louis Blues have tendered offer sheets to the Edmonton Oilers, restricted free agents Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway. Philip Broberg's would be a 2-year deal with $4.58 million AAV, second-round pick compensation coming back for the Oilers. Dylan Holloway's a 2-year, $2.29 million AAV with a third-round pick compensation coming back, and Edmonton has 7 days to make a decision. Coming down from Dave Naylor, the new owner of the Edmonton Elks is Larry Thompson. Thompson coming from the construction business local here to the city and was a longtime season ticket holder. Other news in the sporting world in the CFL, Nathan Rourke will sign with the BC Lions, becoming the CFL's highest paid player in 2025 and 2026, earning more than $600,000 a season. Nathan Rourke will earn $250,000 for the remainder of this season with the BC Lions. MLB action gets going today at 4:40. It all starts with the Nationals and Orioles. Slightly after that, we'll see the Cubs and Guardians, Marlins and Phillies, Mariners and Tigers, Cardinals and Reds, Astros and Rays, and of course the Toronto Blue Jays in action out in LA taking on the Angels at 7:38 p.m. Kevin Gausman on the mound in that one. And 2 pieces of NFL news. The Dallas Cowboys have become the first sports franchise in history to surpass a $10 billion valuation, and Vikings rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy will need knee surgery according to the club. In hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Dave McCarthy of SiriusXM. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
The Cheesy Burger Pizza is back at Papa John's. See what happens when you ask for it? Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the Cheesy Burger Trio or choose between the large Cheesy Burger Pizza for $18.99, Cheesy Burger Papadilla for $9.99, and Bacon Cheesy Burger Papa Bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey chewy cheese and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some cheesy burger pizza at Papa John's.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers, or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Bricks Summer Sleep Event. Take up to 50% off mattresses, up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals, and buy more, save more, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and up to 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplaces. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Buying a vehicle at Sherwood Honda comes with 0% intimidation. Seriously, they want you to feel comfortable. So ask anything. There are no dumb questions. How does this car compare to that truck? Ask it. Could the payment be this much instead? Feel free to ask. At Sherwood Honda, you can ask anything without fear of judgment. Like, do you folks have a jingle? Okay, a few dumb questions. And if you have questions about car buying, it sure would make sense to ask Sherwood Honda.
Midnight Friday is the VIP prize deadline in the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation Mighty Millions Lottery. Take charge of the open road with the Porsche Cayman VIP prize, or choose $100,000 cash. Plus, be in to win the $2.5 million grand prize, Oilers season seats bonus prize, and so much more. Hurry, VIP deadline is Midnight Friday. Be mighty and support Stollery Kids. Buy now at MightyMillionsLottery.com.
But good song. Very catchy.
Love the chicks.
You know, the battle this episode is going to be of the show is me versus my headphones. And they're not working again. But maybe I'll have to get Donovan. He's not the intern anymore, but if he was, I'd say, come hold this cord in place for me for the entire 4 hour show.
Donovan, Connor's drunk with power. Gregor's gone. He's hold this, my umbrella for me.
I need help right now. Anywho, it is the Jason Gregor Show. Gregor on a little bit of a vacation. He'll be back shortly before you know it. Until then, you got me, you got Wanya, you got Declan, Donovan, all in this house. Having a good time.
I feel like Gregor's frustrated probably today on vacation because so many things have happened.
It's a busy day in the sporting world.
Have you heard from him?
No.
Impressive.
Oh, maybe one text.
Okay.
But no, I mean, hey, he's earned it. He's had a very busy year. He's going to take a little bit of a break here, come back fired up, ready to go. And we'll just try to keep the ship afloat until then. The show is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Promo code SUMMER. You get a $50 casino play. And tonight, it is the Lotto Max. I'm going to go buy a ticket. I say that all the time. Sometimes I forget. But tonight, going to get mine. Use your GameSense. GameSense.ca to stay inside your limit. Of course, we're also available on Oilers Nation Facebook and X, Sports 1440, Instagram.
You know who doesn't need a Lotto Max ticket, Connor? Philip Broberg, because he just won the Lotto Max without buying a ticket.
He earned it.
Yes. But if I'm him and I wake up, I'm like, you know what? I've won today. I don't need to win the lottery.
Yeah. But I'd still go buy a ticket.
If you're Phil?
Maybe two. It's a good day for Phil.
I would spend the money on tickets.
All your salary on lottery tickets?
Yeah, your odds just are booming after
It's called
that.
an investment.
Yeah.
I'm playing the
Hey, kids.
Sox, baby.
Let's just rip through what's going on today as we come to you live from the EUL studios in West Edmonton. We'll have some little kids waving here. Of course, the offer sheets. Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway offered offer sheets from the St. Louis Blues, which they have signed. For Philip Broberg, it's 2 years, $4.58 million. The compensation coming back the other way would be a second-round pick. For Dylan Holloway, it is 2 years, $2.29 million. The compensation would be a third-round pick. Dylan Holloway, of course, the 14th overall pick back in 2020. We saw him playing 25 postseason games in the Oilers' run. Philip Broberg was the first-round pick, 8th overall back in 2019. Big money for these guys if they were hypothetically to be on their way to St. Louis. The Oilers would get a third and a second. You cannot trade those two players for a year if the Oilers decide to match. That's a big one. We do have to tell you, if they do match, you can't just ship them away. They would be with Edmonton for at least one more year. So they would be in the plans for the future. I also want to talk about the Edmonton Elks. According to Dave Naylor of TSN, Larry Thompson, Edmontonian, I believe worked in the construction industry, longtime season ticket holder, is the new owner of the franchise. Not official, hasn't been released by the team or anything or announced, but that is the report. Also, Nathan Rourke, former BC Lions quarterback, heck of a player, spent some time in the NFL. He is back with the BC Lions. He's going to make $250,000 for the remainder of this season. And then in the next 2 seasons, the contract, from what we hear, over $600,000. But he has not ruled out a return to the NFL. So if he comes, plays some great football this year, who knows? A team could come calling, and Nathan Rourke could go back to the NFL. But he's a member of the BC Lions. They also have Vernon Adams. We're hearing they do not want to trade Vernon Adams, so we'll wait and see what happens.
Maybe if he has a big year, Chiarelli will offer sheet him.
Somebody might.
Apparently, that's the game plan for old Peter and the Blues.
No team in the NFL in St. Louis anymore. Maybe the Battlehawks will of the UFL.
Have you ever watched UFL games?
I call myself a Battlehawks fan of St. Louis, but it's so tough. I do CFL and NFL in college.
How do you watch those games?
Oh, they got a TV deal.
Do they?
Yeah.
What channel?
ABC?
Oh.
Fox, maybe? It's one of those ones you maybe stumble into.
How's the quality of the football?
It's good, but it doesn't have like the, for NFL, you get amped up. The crowd's into it. It's the attendance isn't fantastic. It's good ball. Like, it's better than watching me.
And USFL and XFL merged. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I remember laughing at that until I read that they have higher ratings than NHL in many American markets. I was like, well, maybe I'll stop laughing.
And there was the American Alliance of Football as well.
What on earth is that?
That didn't last very long. But then rest in peace to the San Diego Fleet.
What are you talking about?
That was their team name. Cool logo. Didn't last long.
What year was that? 1923?
Oh, no. Maybe 2015, no, more recent than that. Declan, do you remember when the AAF was a thing? We'll look into that one.
Google, what is Connor talking about? And see what comes back.
What is that? The text line, 1-833-401-1440. Greg says Phil Kemp looked good. So maybe there's someone who could make a spot with the squad next year. Scalding Gord says, all I'm saying is Oodle Noodle never signed with St. Louis.
We would, though.
Krager, not a chance the Oilers pay Broberg $4.5 million. He's not worth it at this point in his career. Too many other poor contracts on the books to navigate around it. I'm excited to watch the Oilers destroy the Blues while Broberg is on the ice. Rockford, is there any left wings or right Ds that are currently unrestricted free agents that could fill the Oilers for cheap if Edmonton chooses to let them walk? Guys like Justin Schultz or Jacob Vrana? Well,
just hold on.
When it comes to left wings, I don't think they'll do anything. I think up front, they're fine.
Did he just suggest Justin Schultz? Former Oiler Justin Schultz, returning back to Edmonton Justin Schultz?
Stanley Cup champion Justin Schultz?
Stanley Cup champion Justin Schultz?
He is a free agent.
How much does he make?
Nothing right now.
But like theoretically, what would Justin Schultz cost you if you had to plug a hole?
Well, I'd have to take a look into that one.
Would he want to come back to Edmonton, though, given the trumpets on social media every time he stepped on the ice? We invented a verb for him, jolting.
Comrie came back.
Respect.
He took a lashing on social media. His last contract was $3 million per year.
Stanley Cup champion?
Stanley Cup champion Justin Schultz back in Edmonton. Declan, did you look at the AAF by any chance?
I did. 2018. It started in March 2018. Ceased operations in April of 2019.
Oh,
well,
how many teams?
Short-lived. There were 10 teams, I believe.
We
it
got a
was.
year
No,
out of
maybe
it?
8 teams. Let me check again. There were 8 teams. Yep.
Which one did you love, Connor?
The San Diego Fleet.
Do you remember how they did in that fateful season?
Oh, they were the best.
Yeah, I can't find records here, so I'll take your word
Undefeated,
for it.
I think.
Undefeated?
Oh yeah, best team. I have no idea. It was clouded for me. We actually started a AAF fantasy league.
Oh no.
Me, Dean Millard, Gregor, and Struddy. And Struddy was just like down on it the whole time. He said, "This league's not going to last." He was right. It did not last, but yeah, we tried to embrace it.
Remember the one year the Grey Cup was it the Baltimore Stallions won the Grey Cup?
Yeah.
Woof.
Good
They were
teams.
good. They were well supported.
Penner's Pancake says, Connor just thrown into a fire on a hectic day. Doing a good job, buddy. Oh, thank you. How about Tyson Barrie at 1 million? He might. Yeah, I was thrown into the fire yesterday with all of us. And yesterday was pretty chill. It was a good day. But today, yeah, it's fun though. This is what we want.
Oh, yeah.
These are the days you love. Tyson Barrie at 1 mil. I'll probably pass.
It's a tough one. He's experienced. He's pretty long in the tooth.
Love him in the room. But you got Bouchard.
Love a chili one. His beers.
Oh, really?
Got a beer out.
Good for him.
chili ones.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have one. What, $1 million of Tyson Barrie hockey next year? Bit much.
Yeah. I don't know if that one is going to happen. Rob the Plumber says, hey guys, letting Broberg go probably isn't terrible. That's a lot of money for a young, unproven defenseman. I would rather keep Holloway as he has more upside. Just my thoughts. Rob the Plumber. You know, Rob, you're not having too many people disagree with you. Like a lot of people have texted in. Just you can let Philip Broberg go. I'm curious, like, and it's all going to be hindsight. Like I said earlier, what if he goes out there and he has one heck of a season, and then you're laughing if you're St. Louis Blues, like only 4.5 mil. Does he have that much upside? Maybe some people don't believe he has that, but then at the same time, if he plays really well, you're only going to get him for one more season.
It's the
and then you're getting him again. So
it's the counterpoint to paying for an unproven defenseman. What's he going to cost you when he is proven?
Yeah,
9.
Though you get you can see it in town here. 2 examples. We'll use one forward, but when Leon Draisaitl got that $8 million contract, some people said, "What are you doing?" Well, that looked pretty good in a few years.
Jerks said that.
And Jerks said that.
I was kind of one of those people. For what it's worth.
Surprise, surprise.
People
Declan
said
was skeptical.
And you go to Darnell Nurse and use bridge deal. What if there was a more commitment there? And I know it takes 2 sides to tango. Obviously, some players are going to say, I'll prove that I deserve bigger money. But what if you could have locked him up a couple years earlier for 6? That would have been nice.
Remember we were talking all crazy about a Vinny D deal? It was like 7 years, $800,000. Remember that we were talking that?
No.
Oh, like there was rumors he was thinking about being offered a longer term deal.
Oh,
like
really?
A really low amount. Those very rarely occur.
Yeah, absolutely. Sonny in Vancouver says, hi, Connor. Can you send Holloway down? He does have to clear waivers. It's just business. I think he and Broberg would be good for another year. The thing is, if you match Dylan Holloway, you're paying him $2.29 million per season. Sending him to Bakersfield, you'll only save $1 million. So you still have $1.29 million of his contract on the cap. So sending him to Bakersfield just, to me, makes no sense. He's in my opinion, he's an NHL player now.
We have hologram James Neal and hologram Jack Campbell to pay for. We can't be doing these creative deals.
Because we had a few people, like I said, say send them down to Bakersfield. It's just that makes no sense to me. Euler from the Hat says they started last season with 20 players. So yeah, absolutely. It is doable. It can be risky, but it is doable. Lone Star Len texting in. I say let them walk. We've gotten worse returns on trades before.
Well put.
That'll happen. Big bad joke. Can a player refuse to sign an offer sheet? Absolutely. You just don't sign.
Why would a player refuse a 4.5 times raise on what he's expected to be paid?
That's it. And an opportunity to play. Maybe a fresh start. I can't blame them. I cannot blame them for taking it. I've seen some people say, well, you're going to a terrible team. You lose your chance at a cup. but they're young guys. You got to have that optimism that, well, I can be part of the changes in St. Louis, and I'm going to get paid a little bit better and play more at the same time. So I don't know. It's fun to look at it. This is awesome because, like I was thinking that last night, what are we going to talk about? We'll talk a little more about the Kane LTIR situation. And then all of a sudden today, we got the Elks news. We got Rourke. We got the Oilers. You brought it up. We have a wedding photo that has been released, or multiple.
I believe 53 or 56 wedding photos, Connor, but we'll get to that later. We've got time enough.
Well,
I don't want to.
You don't want to go into that.
I don't want to get into it until we've got time to properly debate.
Okay. Debate?
Discuss. Debate its historical significance.
The Evander Kane picture, glorious. I don't know if you saw that one.
I saw them all.
Glorious. Absolute glorious. 1-833-401-1440. That is the text line if you want to get in on the conversation. Of course, Broberg and Holloway offer sheets from St. Louis. The Edmonton Oilers, 1 week to match. If they do match, they cannot trade them for 1 calendar year. So remember that before you text in asking for Broberg. 2 years, $4.58 million per season. Dylan Holloway, 2 years, $2.29. Now that's going to be a topic as we continue on the show here. Still to come, we'll talk to Jason Strudwick. We've had a few people saying that does it alienate yourselves in the room if you have a teammate who signs that offer sheet? I don't think so. I think players understand it's a business. If they get that offer matched, they're going to be welcomed back into the room with no problem. But what's it like for the players? We're going to ask Jason Strudwick about that. We'll also talk to Mark Spector, Derek van Diest, and coming up next, Dave McCarthy of Sirius XM NHL. This guy absolutely loves pucks. So we'll talk about the Oilers offer sheets. We'll talk about maybe the history of offer sheets. And he's also out in Toronto. So Austin Matthews gets to see what's the significance for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll talk about that and more. It's the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Juan Yegres, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here on Sports 1440. Also, Oilers Nation, YouTube. You can also check us out on X and Instagram on Sports 1440.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass. Move Water is your one-stop shop for all things water. From freshwater to wastewater, we've got the pumps and solutions to keep your water moving where it matters most.
Move Water, your water solution experts.
Visit movewater.ca today.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League is entering its 3rd season of gameplay. The JPHL now offers academic and athletic opportunities in the 14U, 15, 17, and 18U age divisions. All JPHL games are broadcast live on Silent Ice TV with a showcase-style game schedule and high level of travel and accommodations for its team, staff, and players. To learn more about why the JPHL is the fastest-growing elite hockey academy stream in Western Canada, visit juniorprospectshockeyleague.com.
Be melon jolly, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt. And fan favorite, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
Rule number 12, not spending the afternoon tubing on the Pembina. Next, you're going to tell us you don't wear flannel. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they won't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The Toronto Blue Jays are on Sports 1440. Every weekend, catch all the action with play-by-play announcer Ben Schulman. The Blue Jays, this Saturday and Sunday on Sports 1440. Edmonton's home for all things sports.
Does your bank do local? We do. When you bank with Vision Credit Union, you're banking with a rural Albertan cooperative that cares about the community where you live. There's no question. We actively support our rural communities at the local level through charitable donations, volunteerism, local team and event sponsorships, and by returning millions in profit shares to our members every year. Does your bank do that? We do local. Bank with Vision Credit Union. VisionCU.ca.
Eric McCuskey here, head of the family at Furnace Fountain. We are expecting another hot summer, so what are you waiting for to install air conditioning? A few sleepless nights? Your family complaining? Or the hot spell when we have a 3-week wait? The time to get AC is now. Our expert installers are typically done in a few hours, and your family is comfortable all summer long. Daikin is offering a $1,775 rebate on a complete fit air conditioning system. Visit furnacefamily.com. Jingle time.
Done right, they are right. Furnacefamily.com.
Hey, Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson takes an army to replace Mr. Jason Gregor. He'll be back in a couple of weeks here. Darren texting in, can you guys be real Oiler fans and stop hyping up the Blues for doing the offer sheet? I don't want to be on the radio an Oilers fan. I want to kind of try to be as much down the middle as possible. I don't know how the Oilers fandom can really weigh into this one. I just say Armstrong, game recognized game. It's a good move. Oilers, will see how they respond.
I would never hype the Blues. What was that gentleman's name?
Darren,
I would never in a million years hype the Blues up. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
Ever.
You won't, but I will.
You love the Blues in that imaginary football league too.
Closet Blues fan. Kind of just for me, a meh team.
It's a hard team to get behind.
Like, was happy for them when they went on their run, but yeah, not a team I'm like gearing up to get behind.
Quite honestly, forgot they won the Cup 5 years ago.
Yeah. Gloria. Good song.
Oh, yeah.
Great rallying point. The Jason Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Get your Lotto Max ticket for tonight's draw. Use your GameSense, GameSense.ca. Coming to you live from the eWell Studios here in West Edmonton Mall right now. Let's get to the offer sheet report. Brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates will never change. Need service late at night or on the weekends? Not overtime charges. That is how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. We bring in Dave McCarthy of Sirius XM NHL. Dave, good afternoon. How are things going out in the backyard today?
Good. I don't know what we're going to talk about here. I thought Austin Matthews would be the preeminent story of the week, being named the captain on Wednesday, but I feel like things out in your neck of the woods are otherwise directed at the offer sheets that were put out this morning.
A little more hectic out here, I would think. I mean, I'm assuming, in the 6, people are happy for Austin Matthews. Good transition. Out here, there's a lot of questions. I'll say it again. You can't trade these two players if their offer is matched for a year. We've had to tell that to a lot of people. If the Oilers were to keep Broberg and Dylan Holloway, match the offer, they'll be on this Oilers team for at least a year. Now, Dave, what was your reaction, I guess, to hearing this and this move by the St. Louis Blues?
Well, I think it's smart. It's a mechanism within the collective bargaining agreement. So if people are getting unhappy about it, I don't know what to tell you. But in any other line of work that you are engaged with, you're looking at every possible competitive advantage to succeed in your job. Now, so there's nothing wrong that St. Louis did. Let's put that out there. The issue is for Edmonton, they have no cap space right now. As it stands, they're actually in the red. Okay, they're in negative cap space. So the longer you leave guys who are eligible to sign offer sheets exposed, the more risk you run that someone says to themselves, hey, that guy's a pretty good player. Maybe we'll see if he signs an offer sheet. And he did. In this case, both guys did. For Philip Broberg, it makes a lot of sense. This is a guy who I thought played really well in the playoffs when he got into the lineup. On the surface right now is 4.5, 4.6, right, per year?
4.58.
Right now, maybe you're like, that's It's a bit rich by $2.5 million, but he's 23. He's not 19 or 20. It also has the ability, this deal, on day one, or I guess maybe give yourself a bit of a sample size, month one, to be a great deal. Because I have a lot of confidence that Philip Broberg might be able to step into either Edmonton or St. Louis's lineup and be really damn good right away. Like it's the time is now. He's 23. And he looked good when it mattered the most. So yeah, like why wouldn't you do that if you're St. Louis? Dylan Holloway, yeah, we'll see. To me, he's projected to be a third liner. I haven't seen much top six ability in his play yet. Still young guy. So the amount of money that they're extending him in St. Louis, $2 and a bit for 2 years, yeah, I think that's a good gamble. It's not an overpayment, really, that would cripple you if it turns out to be something that isn't working out very well. And if it does work out well, then you're in real good shape. So to me, it makes a lot of sense. I know, Gretz was saying there that he's not going to hype up the Blues, but I'm not here to hype up the Blues. I'm just here to tell the truth. And I think that makes a lot of sense what St. Louis did. Edmonton left themselves in a tight spot. You leave those guys exposed, you run that risk, and now they're in a spot where they're going to have to try and find a way to come up with some money if they'd like to keep both of those guys.
I'm with you, and I know a lot of people have kind of said, well, this isn't really common practice amongst NHL general managers, and I thought, well, it's probably not common practice to go over the cap and then have two young RFAs on your team as well. But if it happens, I think a savvy general manager should take advantage of that. So I commend them for the move. And now I want to see what the Edmonton Oilers do in response. We've had a lot of people saying, well, maybe, Kane on the LTIR, and then you try to trade Cody Ceci. If you're Stan Bowman and co, what would your next move be? Would you be looking to make some trades here and keep these two, or do you let them walk and keep the compensation, save a little money?
Yeah, I would be looking at retaining one of the two guys, and that would be Philip Broberg. To me, I think they made some additions on the left wing this year with Jeff Skinner in the offseason and Victor Arvidsson. And I think they'd be better positioned to lose Dylan Holloway than they would Philip Broberg. I think Broberg is a guy whose play demanded to be in the lineup as a regular player this coming season. He's 23 years of age, right? Like the time is now. And if it's not now, it might never be. So, and I'm high on Broberg. I do think that he is going to be able to step in and have an impact at this point in his career. This is, and I like the way Edmonton has developed him too, right? Not rushing him along. Not putting him in a position where he's getting caved in every night, letting him be, to use a phrase that the former general manager of the Edmonton Oilers always used to use, Ken Holland, let him be over ready. And that's what he is right now. So I'd look at trying to find a way to keep Broberg. I'd let Holloway go unless you want to get crazy. And try and make some other moves to find that money. I haven't seen a lot from Holloway. I think he's going to be a good player, but I think a guy that at the end of the day you'll be able to replace. I think Broberg has the potential to be a really solid top four guy, and those guys don't grow on trees. So I'd try and find a way to keep him if I were the Oilers, and if that involves trading Cody Ceci and waiving somebody who's making $1 million, I'd look to try to do that.
Dave McCarthy of SiriusXM joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show, taking a look around the NHL. Now, Dave, I'll ask you to dig deep here into the memory bank. Going back to some of these offer sheets that we've seen in the past, I'm scrolling through here. Daily Faceoff did a great little recap of some of the ones we've seen in the salary cap era. I kind of forgot about the Canucks and St. Louis Blues going back and forth with David Backes and Steve Bernier. Like that, I love that sort of thing. We've had some Oilers fans say, the Oilers got to go after Jake Neighbors next year, which I think would be pretty funny. The Dustin Penner back in the day with the Ducks and the Oilers, and the barn fight that should have happened as a result of it. When you think back to offer sheets, what was your favorite?
Well, so the thing with offer sheets is funny because typically speaking, you have to overpay the player in the short term, like today, in order for him to even consider signing it. And then the risk is that when you have overpaid the player, are you going to like the guy when you get him in your lineup? And that's really what the Blues have done here with Philip Broberg. I think this is smart. $1 more and the compensation goes up. In this case, I think it's smart. But like in a lot of the other examples, nothing really I think that's why we really struggle to remember other examples, because none of them really have turned out to be that impactful. You think back to Jesperi Kotkaniemi with the Carolina Hurricanes a couple of summers ago. That was a dramatic overpayment for Kotkaniemi that year, 6 and change. Never came close to living up on that. And then I think, quite honestly, Carolina compounded the stupidity by extending Kotkaniemi at the term and the dollar figure that they did, because I still don't think he's lived up to the value of the extension. I think simply because they didn't want to look foolish that they were trying to pluck him, clearly for the anger of what Montreal, and it's funny you mentioned what Edmonton should do for Jake Neighbours, native of Airdrie, Alberta, I might point out, not far from Edmonton, next year. But that was to do in Carolina with Montreal offer sheeting Sebastian Aho, which was a rare example of, I thought, of a good offer sheet. I was shocked that Aho signed it because at the time it made sense. In fact, I still think he was underpaid. And it kicked the can for it. Like, it got the business done, and then they either signed it or they didn't, which they signed him. And Carolina loves every minute of the deal that Aho was on throughout that because it was a brilliant deal. It was underpaid. So I don't understand why Carolina took umbrage. If anything, they did Montreal did them a favor that year, getting the business done. So I don't know, looking back, my favorite, probably the one with the barn fight with Dustin Penner, because anytime you get our good buddy Berkey all wound up, I mean, it makes good content for us here on the radio. I don't know who my money would have been on if Berkey and Kevin Lowe had to come to blows in a barn, but if they had run a pay-per-view, I certainly would have contributed.
Biased, but I'm taking Kevin Lowe.
You got to take Kevin Lowe. He was close to game shape.
Hey, but come on, Berkey values truculence, pugnacity, and belligerence. So,
prison rules? Or are we talking like sanctioned?
I assume it was sanctioned.
It's in a barn. There are no rules.
I'm thinking Berkey might do like, let me tie my shoe and dirt in the face.
Imagine that fight had gone through. Gary Bettman hadn't gotten involved personally.
Dave McCarthy joining us here on Sports 1440. It's the Jason Gregor Show. You mentioned it there out in Toronto. Some big news here, which I assume is probably met with mostly positive reactions for Leafs Nation. Austin Matthews going to inherit the C from John Tavares, and I assume John Tavares would have been involved in this discussion. Probably pretty happy to do this. But what's been the reaction from what you've seen with Austin Matthews taking the C, and why the decision to do it now?
Well, I think this was inevitable that Austin Matthews would eventually become the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I thought it was the right move when they named John Tavares 5 years ago as the captain to not name Austin Matthews captain then. He was too young at the time. And I'm never really in favor. I'm trying to think on examples that have occurred. Good decisions made with naming guys who were 19 or 20 years of age the captain.
Conor McDavid.
I don't know if that was a good decision, to be honest with you, at the time. No, like look where they are now. But did it help him or did it really hinder him when they named him captain? Because the Oilers were not a very good team for a couple of years after that, and then you mire him in the muck of the underperformance and you hang it on him. Did he need that at the time? Really? Like, it didn't hurt his play individually. I don't think it helped him either. Here we are. They went to the final. They were a goal or two away from. Sure, it's all it's all hindsight now. I don't think he needed that. I really don't think he needed that at the time. Like Austin Matthews was shooting the net 40, 50 times a year early in his career. Good player. Did he need that? I don't think he did. So now he's armed with years of knowledge that he wouldn't have had then. He's firmly established in the National League. He's a veteran now. He's not a kid anymore. He's not a prospect. He's a veteran.'s a grizzled veteran. He can go to the coach and say, Coach, the fellas, worked a little hard. Like we're on fumes here. We need to lay off a day here or there. He can go and not get laughed out of the coach's office. He can go up to a teammate and say, Bud, we're going to need more from you. Like that right there, whatever the hell that was at the blue line, no good, not going to cut it. And not get told off by his teammate. He's ready for this now. And so this is the time for him to really, truly, fully become the man here. But that being said, I don't think it really changes the dynamic in the room all that much. Because I think guys will still look to John Tavares this year as a guy who sets a good example of how to go about your daily work. And put yourself in the best position to succeed. It's not like John's not going to have a leadership position anymore. It's just that he won't be the guy that has to come out every day and answer when something goes awry or whatever it is now, and that's Matthews. But within the room, I think what they're doing is adding a larger voice to another leader, not necessarily subtracting a leader that they have. If anything, they've expanded their leadership group and they've let someone grow into a larger role that, you look at his contemporaries in the game, the Crosbys, the McDavids, the Ovechkins, the Quinn Hughes, like all these guys eventually become captain of their team. And it makes sense now. New coach, Austin's new deal is kicking in this year. Makes sense that now is his time.
Dave, really appreciate coming on the show today. We'll do it again next week, same time.
Okay, boys. It's a date.
There you go. Dave McCarthy, Sirius XM NHL, joining us on the show every single Tuesday. Always happy to have him. That was the offer sheet report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Check them out, legacyheating.ca. We're going all hockey today. Usually I would have made that like the football report or something, but hey, we're gonna be pretty locked into the NHL. Tons of texts coming in here, 1-833-401-1440 on the topic of young captains. Joe Sakic from Hacksaw and Northside. Lou says Yzerman. So a few decisions there that I would agree with. I think those were good calls. Conor McDavid, I thought he handled it in stride. Could have gone another year without it, sure. But I didn't think he was a bad decision. And I even think Connor Bedard, like you don't have to rush him to give him the C this year, but I kind of think they will. I think young guys kind of like it.
It's the Infinity Stones, right? They want to collect all the first pick overall, captain of the team, won the Calder. Like they're the milestones for the super players.
Scalding Gord. This has got to be a little bit of a joke. And I know Gord. Matthews will only be captain for 2 years. I imagine they'll give the C to McDavid when he signs with the Leafs as a UFA on July 1st, 2026.
But you listen here. That's not happening. You just need to retire these fantasies. They're not healthy for you or the Leafs or us.
Another Gord, not scalding, but it's normal Gord, says handing Matthews the captaincy was a calculated move by Toronto. They're making it harder for him to sign elsewhere when he's a UFA. Nick M texting in to the Ewell inbox. I'm leaning towards letting them go. How motivated will Raphael Lavoie be knowing he has one less person to beat out up front? Also, I don't think Broberg could have fetched a second-round pick before the playoffs. Is he really worth more after 12 games? I say find more speedy wingers for 1 year, $1 million, and let Stetcher and Brown platoon the debt till the deadline, and then give Bouchard all the money he needs to stay.
Gord, too, thinks that Broberg wasn't worth a second-round draft pick as a trade.
This was Nick.
Oh, Nick, my apologies. That can't be true. What's the market value of a Broberg?
Well, I mean, probably after that postseason, a little higher than it was before.
How can you simultaneously be worth $4.5 million and also like a single mid-round draft pick?
Well, you want to give him as much as you can. They probably viewed it second round, and then also has to be high enough where it's more enticing for him to leave and tougher for the Oilers to match. So I think maybe it's not necessarily about what he's worth right now, but also what's going to make it more realistic for him to join the Blues. A, for his, own reasons, and then for the Oilers to not block it. That's my guess. But who knows? Something we're going to look back for many years now and see how the Oilers handle it. There is one I wanted to get to here from Eden, father of Arias. He says, please read this out loud because I want people to remember. Broberg will go on to be a better defenseman than Bouchard without playing with McDavid. Eden, father of Arias.
I don't know.
Remember when Jay Fresh had Philip Broberg as a 50-50 to be an everyday NHLer? Because I do. I was like, come on. How are we writing him off so quick, Jay Fresh? I like your cards, but that one threw me off for a little while. It's still out there. You can find it on X.
Oilers fans, I think, also love Broberg because we really miss Oscar Klefbom. And we think that Broberg is the new Klefbom. But that might be a leap that we're making in our heads.
Broberg looked, it was like 17 minutes a game in the Stanley Cup final. He got into that series against Dallas and didn't come out. Like he didn't give us a reason to say, got to yank him. Like he was solid. So
that's not normal.
No.
Like it's quite rare for a defenseman of that age to be able to participate at that high of a level. It means they can do it again.
Yeah, ebbs and flows of an 82-game season, especially when, where do I have it here? He's only played in 81 games.
It's an amazing amount of money to be offered.
Preseason, postseason, he is, regular season, postseason, he's 101 career games. But there's going to be ups and downs even next year, the next couple of years. But I think when he finds his game and the levels off, he's going to be a damn good defenseman.
Well, if he goes to St. Louis, there's really no pressure, right? If all of a sudden he shows up and he slots in the top four and he doesn't necessarily play great, the expectations, we heard earlier in St. Louis are so low that no one's going to be getting mad at you.
Mikey says last season in February, Oilers would have jumped at a second-round pick for Broberg. No way a second covers a $4 million player, but that is just how it works out in offer sheets. And Carmen says there's no way Broberg is leaving. We will match. I'm with you, KG. I kind of think that's how it's going to go.
KG, Kevin Garnett?
Carmen. He's also known as Krill in some circles.
Ooh.
I love when people sign their names differently because we have the history. Also went by K. Also has gone by Blade Runner. Blade Runner's a sick name.
That's gangster.
I love it. Okay, we'll take a break here. When we come back, how about Wanye's World?
We can chat. I got a few things I'd like to talk about.
Can we do Oodle Noodle gift cards?
We can give away Oodle Noodle.
Could we also do one for the YouTube chat?
Yeah, love the YouTube chat.
Okay, we're going to also give some Oodle Noodle to those on YouTube. I see Sean, Oil Baron, Matthew. I see Connor Halley in there talking as well. And a lot more people. So YouTube, you're going to have a chance to win some free Oodle Noodle as well.
Now, hold on. Aren't you Connor Halley?
Yeah, I like to get in on the chat every once in a while. See how everyone's doing out there?
Were you nominating yourself to win Oodle Noodle in the chat? Is that what that was?
If I participate, I should have an equal shot, right?
I see what's happening.
It's fair. We'll take a break. When we come back, more Oilers talk. It's Wanye's World. Coming up next, it is the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, and Donovan Paulson with you here in the eWell studio. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need, Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk, elevate your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
You don't work for GMC, but it's kind of like you do because you pay what we pay. GMC employee pricing is on now on all 2024 GMC Sierra half tons and Hummers. Oh, but at Wolf GMC Buick, it's even better. Get GMC employee pricing on every in-stock 2024 GMC. If it's new and a 2024 and it has that beautiful GMC logo on it, then it's GMC employee priced. Pay what we pay, but only until August 26th. Get into Wolf GMC Buick now and see the over 200 GMCs in stock.
The Charm Offensive with Jim Jeffries.
Every generation before you has also been the most progressive generation.
And Jimmy Carr.
I don't know how to explain this to you. I'm not that small, I'm just far away.
One night, two comedy icons. September 8th, Rogers Place. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.ca. The Charm Offensive with Jim Jeffries and Jimmy Carr. Produced by Outback Presents.
So you've decided you want to start hiking. Nobody would say, I'll just wear my kids' flip-flops until I have more experience. The first thing you do is buy the right shoe size and style to fit you. Same with golf. You can't just buy clubs off the rack. They won't be the right size or style for you. Only Fitted Golf works with you to identify your swing style and then matches your clubs exactly to that swing. Check out our Instagram and YouTube channel to see the success others have with clubs fit to their swing. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
This summer, as the sun shines, the grass will grow. You'll find a wide selection of Echo summer cleanup equipment at the Lawnmower Hospital. From grass trimmers and chainsaws to log splitters and multi-tool systems. All backed by Echo's outstanding 5-year consumer warranty. Make summer yard care a breeze with Echo and the Lawnmower Hospital. LawnmowerHosp.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
If you've ever restored a classic car or seen one, you smile because you know what it took to get that beauty looking pristine. The same is true for men who restore their hair. Nothing but smiles for miles. Patients from all over Canada travel to see me, Dr. Vance Elliott, to have their hair loss treated and remedied. I've been helping people for 28 years. My practice is outfitted with the most innovative and latest hair transplant techniques and technology. And I do it myself. Contact us at drvanceelliott.com.
YouTube and Facebook. You can get us on X and, of course, Instagram, streaming across all platforms. If you are watching on the old YouTube, give us a like. Do the same if you're watching on Facebook. And I guess if you're watching on the old, or they're listening on the radio stream, just give us a text, 1-833-401-1440 to the eWell inbox. My name is Connor Halley. I've got Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, and Donovan Paulson alongside with me. Now, we do have Lotto Max tonight. $70 million plus 40 max millions. So maybe, you know, you're on your way home right now or about to leave the office and you're like, I think I'm going to go grab one of those bad boys, and your life could change. And as Gregor says, if you win, throw a little party, invite the boys. We'll have some fun. I know a spot, actually.
If you win $70 million, hire new friends.
Better friends.
Better friends that will do exactly as you say now that you have $70 million.
But use your game sense. PlayAlberta.ca. Lots of fun to be had tonight. Of course, you got Major League Baseball. We got NFL preseason coming up shortly. The NHL will be here in no time. So PlayAlberta.ca, your spot for some good times here. Now, we did talk about giving away some Oodle Noodle gift cards here.
That sounds delicious.
We've got a couple packs. We'll do one to our text line, and then one through the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
Which will be 7 or 8 seconds, maybe 25 behind. But we'll pick one winner to win. Now, how do we want to do this today, Wanye?
I don't know. What do you think? What's the contest going to be?
Well, Declan has something to say.
No, I was just going to say make Declan laugh.
Oh.
Like a good joke or
send in
something?
a joke that makes Declan laugh.
I love a good joke. So yeah, that's a good one.
That's fair.
1-833-401-1440. Text in a joke that makes Declan laugh, and you can have like 3 or 4 boxes of Oodle Noodle.
It's a bit of a range, but yes.
Also, on the YouTube, put in your favorite joke, make Declan laugh there, and we'll also pick a winner.
Yeah.
2 winners today. It's big time.
Delicious.
Now, we do want to get into Wanye's world, and I just want to scroll through because I don't want to get in trouble. See if there's any lines I have to read. Yes. Wanye's world.
Oh.
Brought to you by Action Electrical, the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions and project services, tag, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net. Here is Wanye's world.
I was up at the crack of dawn this morning, Connor, 7:15, 7:30, and I went to social media as you do, and I wish I'd gotten up 45 minutes earlier to be online when the Lauren Kyle featuring Conor McDavid wedding photos dropped in Vogue. They're amazing. They're beautiful. They're probably one of the nicest wedding photos I've ever seen of a non-royal wedding. They're out in Ontario in cottage country. Lauren wore 5 different dresses throughout the night, I believe, or throughout the event.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. There's a photo of Lauren with a bottle of tequila raised in the air in triumph on the shoulders of Connor and Leon. What? Are you kidding me, Connor? What a great day for Oilers fans. Wonderful. If you went back to, I can't remember what year Gretzky got married, 88, 87, somewhere in there, and showed photos of 2024 that there's a new Gretzky in the future, and this is what he looks like, so handsome in his tuxedo. His wife looks so lovely. I congratulate them. I congratulate the McDavids on behalf of Oilers fans, because that was a wonderful ceremony, and she made us wait for it till Vogue dropped early in the morning, because it's Australian Vogue, but it was worth the wait. Well done.
That is so wild to me that Australian Vogue would be the one, because we had heard that a company had the rights to the photos and everything like that. Australian Vogue would not have been on my guest list, but very cool. The photos were fantastic. My favorite, Evander Kane. He's got the shirt like 10 buttons down, just having a great time. I think there was a photo of Tyler Ennis. Did you see that one?
No, I don't remember.
I was trying to see who was all at this wedding, and Patrick Maroon was there.
Yeah.
You can tell him from the side profile.
Of course.
Thought it was Tyler Ennis, though, as well. But looked like a good time.
It looked like a good time, and I respect the fact that it was presented as Lauren Kyle, Canadian designer, married pro hockey player. It wasn't Connor featuring Lauren. It was the other way around. I thought it was well-deserved. And the details of the wedding, right? As you read the article, they get into kind of why they did it sort of as over the top as they did. And I don't think it's like a Real Housewives type scenario where Lauren's doing that to try to like impress others. I think she's generally a very creative soul, and I think that this wedding was a really interesting way for her to express herself. They did a victory lap in a vintage boat around the lake while drinking champagne. Like, come on.
Beerman says, who stood with Connor?
I didn't gather it from the photos. Like, there wasn't really a typical bridal party shot, so I'll have to defer. What did shock me about the photos was there was clearly people with their own cell phones in the crowd at the wedding, and I respect the fact that everybody honored their wishes and the photos didn't leak.
Probably had to sign contract.
Well,
they did a good job.
They did a great job.
I thought it was like his brother Leon, and I thought Darnell Nurse.
Is that it?
Because they were Nurse and Draisaitl were in, Leon and Connor were in Darnell's wedding party. So I thought that's how it went, but maybe we'll see. Wanye's world. It's like SMZ, Sports 1440 MZ.
Yeah. Well, I was excited about that wedding, Connor. That's big news.
It is. They looked great. I saw Connor at one point switch to the white jacket.
Remarkable. Looked like James Bond.
Classy.
Remember when Connor came in the league and he was kind of a little young, we'll call it, right? He has grown into everything, man. He looks fantastic.
Imagine you at 18 being thrust into the spotlight. I would not have had any success.
It's an extraordinarily hard situation. It's a hard couple to join if you're Lauren Kyle too, right? Like there's a lot of pressure being Connor McDavid's wife and living in Edmonton, right? And I just think they've risen to the occasion brilliantly. Well done.
I was afraid to go on the radio till I was like 24. And I worked in radio. So, yeah. Glad they had a great wedding. Can't wait to see the future for the McDavids.
Conor McBaby.
That's the next step, they say.
They can't be far behind.
And then people will say if he has a bad game, he's distracted by the baby.
Remember when Kevin Talbot had twins?
Yeah.
But Connor won't be distracted. He'll be distracted by it.
He'll be good. Declan, I don't know if there's any jokes that have made you laugh here. We are a little delayed if you're listening online, so we're going to give more time, of course, before we pick a winner. Same with the old YouTube. But Declan, anything popped up that made you chuckle yet?
A couple are pretty good. I'll leave it at that.
So mysterious. Will we ever get to know?
Well, I was going to
wins?
say most of them are bad, but that's not fair. You know, everyone's out there working hard.
A lot of people just saying the St. Louis Blues and topical. I'll say that's a topical joke, but not what we're looking for. Declan, I don't think he laughs very often.
It's a tough bill to fill.
Declan, your favorite comedy movie is?
Well, I would say my favorite comedy movie is Dazed and Confused, but it doesn't make me laugh. The one that makes me laugh the hardest that I always kind of go back to is I think The Hangover is so well done and such a funny movie. And Old School.
Yeah, that's good.
And Wedding Crashers.
So you kind of have there's a little bit of a theme. Vince Vaughn in a couple of those.
Yeah, just anything with Vince Vaughn.
Or a Wilson
really
brother.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that get you. Okay, well, when we come back, we will. Lewis says, dad joke coming in. What does a vegetarian zombie say? Grains.
No, you get out of here with that garbage. We're giving away Oodle Noodle, not some inferior restaurant chain. Dad jokes.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we will get our prizes handed out. Declan will give us a joke that makes him laugh, and that person will win some free Oodle Noodle, courtesy of Wanye Gretz. We'll be joined by former NHLer Jason Strudwick. Get his thoughts on the offer sheets awarded to the Oilers today, see what he thinks is going to happen, and we'll also talk to him about the Edmonton Elks and the potential new ownership group. And then 5 questions with Declan Kruger. You're listening to the Jason Gregor Show, Oilers Nation YouTube, Oilers Nation X, Sports 1440 Instagram, and Oilers Nation Facebook, or on the good AM dial. Right now, we're going to get to a Sports 1440 update. This one, of course, will be brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer at legacyheating.ca. Here is Declan Kruger.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start with Edmonton Oilers news as the St. Louis Blues have tendered offer sheets to Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway. The offer sheets are 2 years with a $4.58 million AAV for Philip Broberg, a second-round pick compensation coming back to the Oilers. For Dylan Holloway, 2 years with a $2.29 million AAV and a third-round pick compensation coming back towards the Oilers. According to sources and reported by Dave Naylor, the new owner of the Edmonton Elks is Larry Thompson, coming from the construction business here in the city. He is local and apparently a long-time season ticket holder. Nathan Rourke has signed with the BC Lions, will become the CFL's highest paid player starting in 2025 and will make $250,000 for the rest of this season. MLB action set to go this hour. All gets going with the Nationals and Orioles just after 4:30. Blue Jays in action as they take on the LA Angels. First pitch for that one, 7:38 p.m. Kevin Gausman on the mound for the Jays out in LA in that one. J.J. McCarthy will need knee surgery, according to the Minnesota Vikings, and the Dallas Cowboys have become the first franchise to surpass a $10 billion evaluation. In Hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Jason Strudwick and ask 5 questions. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440. Radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Hey, it's Brad McCory here from St. Albert Dodge. I'm here to say you do not want to miss our final clear out of classic Ram 1500 trucks. It really is your last chance to drive a brand new Ram truck off the lot with 25% off. When these are gone, they're gone. Or how about a Jeep Wrangler with up to $7,500 in savings and 0% financing on every model? Come see how we earn our industry-leading 4.6 Google review rating. You're going to love how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the words.
Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time.
You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance.
Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
Modern Air and Water is your source for AC, furnace, duct cleaning, and water purification systems. Get a 12-year parts and labor warranty and save up to $2,500 on a complete new system. Contact your Lennox Premier dealer at modernairwater.com.
Rule number 116. In Waterton, walk with a lean. The wind will always prop you up. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
The cheesy burger pizza is back at Papa John's. See what happens when you ask for it? Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the cheesy burger trio or choose between the large cheesy burger pizza for $18.99, cheesy burger papadilla for $9.99, and bacon cheesy burger papa bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some cheesy burger pizza at Papa John's.
They say at any given moment, only 7% of people are looking for a car, and that 7% notices advertising for cars. Everyone else, 93%, doesn't even hear it. So this ad is just for the 93% who aren't going to really notice any car ads right now anyway. Hey, it's Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge, and I hope you, yes you, the person listening right now, I hope you have a great day. Anyway, that's it. I'm done.
Instagram page. If you'd like to go give us a look-see, a listen, a follow, we would appreciate that. The Jason Gregor Show, of course, brought to you by playalberta.ca. It's Lotto Max tonight, 70 mil. Go get your ticket. Can't win if you don't play. But remember, use your game sense. We're coming to you live from the eWell studio, where the real power play is to shop ewell.ca for all your electrical needs 24/7. ewell.ca is your partner in power. Connor Halley sitting in for Jason Gregor today. We've got Wanye Gratz, Declan Kruger, and Donovan Paulson in the studio having a good old time. As before we went to break, we brought up the Oodle Noodle giveaway, and all you had to do was tell us a joke that makes Declan laugh. Declan, a little stickler for comedy. No, Declan.
High standard, being the funny guy I am. Obviously, I set the bar pretty high.
So who are your winners? Who do you got? Now, you told me the text line, we can't say the joke on air.
So we won't read the joke, but Deanocracy. I just want you to know that you are the winner. You made me crack a chuckle. So that's our text
Deanocracy
line winner.
No,
Deanocracy.
noted Ravens fan, please send in your name and your mailing address. I'll just say Husks had a good one. Why did the golfer wear 2 pairs of pants?
Casey got a hole in one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of a dad joke, that's for sure. A few other ones. KCF says, just got hospitalized due to a peekaboo accident. They put me in the ICU.
Ha!
That was another good hospital one. It was like I'm invisible or something, and I'm at the hospital waiting to be seen.
I've actually drank some invisible ink. Now I'm at the hospital waiting to be seen. No name on that one, but not too bad. Also says, I just won an award for being the most secretive person at work. I wish I could tell you what that means to me.
Now, do I dare reveal my YouTube winner?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'll get to this quickly. It was Ryan Rosnicki. Ryan Rosnicki, what do you... No, hold on. What is the best way to cook toilet paper? Brown it on one side.
What?
You didn't even break it down?
Repeat the...
What's the best way to cook toilet paper?
Of course.
Brown it on one side.
Oh.
Use it pretty much.
Oh, I get... No, now I get it, Connor. Yeah.
All right.
2 winners.
Wow, those are the winners.
So Deanocracy, you can text in your winning, your info, your mailing address, because we will mail it to you. So that's name, address, city, postal code. And Ryan Rosnicki, I know you're out there on the YouTube world. If you want to email me, Connor@sports1440.ca, all your info, we'll get that set up for you. Connor@sports1440.ca. Ryan Rosnicki, you are the winner. And I don't want to see any impersonators. I don't want to see Lance try to pretend he's Ryan.
Lance was a close second on the text line. I'll give you that credit, Lance. It was between you and Deanocracy.
That's a mean thing to do, Declan. You just let that guy know that he was really close to winning a delicious Oodle Noodle, but you said no, he can't.
I didn't think of it like that. I was thinking more, it's like, hey, silver medal. That's pretty cool too.
You can't eat a silver medal, and you can't eat... I didn't get 4 boxes of Oodle Noodle.
That's true. That's true. And
Declan's harsh, Connor. Like, harsh with the laughter and then laughing at the people who came in second. That's what you laughed most at.
Yeah.
The cruelty. Lots of good text coming in here. Sean said, that's lame. I tried to keep the joke clean so you could read it on air. Otherwise, I had some major game. Well, Sean, please send those in, because we had a couple that were really good, but we just couldn't say them on air. The Deanocracy one had me laughing. So I'm not opposed to it, but it's not good for a radio.
Jokes are hard to tell. Like, when someone's like, you want to hear a joke, very rarely I find is it funny. People tell funny stories. That's a far more likely scenario to have a good laugh at.
What we could do is actually, once we go to break, leave our YouTube feed on, and then Declan could tell the jokes to the YouTube chat. Like, it'd be like After Dark or like X-rated, the Jason Gregor Show.
Let's X-rated.
Well, because
what does that mean? Nude?
No, just like we could swear and tell bad jokes, you know?
Maybe we need to try different emotions. Make Declan cry for free Oodle Noodle next week.
Just gets insulting.
Yeah. Insult Declan next week for free Oodle Noodle. He left the room at the moment.
We
Studio.
hate you.
We can talk smack.
Lance says, I've been finishing second my whole life. 1-833-401-1440. That is a text line. Lots coming in here. Ontario Momes asks if we wants to hear a joke, but he's insulting Wanye, so we won't read it. Ontario.
Insulting me?
Yeah.
It's harsh. On this, the day of Lauren Kyle's wedding photos being released, you want to insult me?
How could he? Can we talk a little bit about the new Elks ownership?
I think we should.
In case you missed it, on top of all the offer sheets going on in the world right now, or in Edmonton, Elks new owner, reportedly Larry Thompson, per reports, that comes from Dave Naylor of TSN, get pretty well connected. So if he's going to put that out there, there has to be something to it. When it becomes official, of course, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about it. But that's something that I think, as everything starts to just go the right way for the Elks, like, it seems like they're picking up momentum. Obviously, we don't have any update on Trey Ford. Yesterday, we had a ton of people asking about an update on Trey Ford. We don't have anything as of now. We're going to think the ribs, but not be 100% sure about it. They win 2 straight games. Defense is playing better. It looks like you're figuring things out. McLeod Bethel-Thompson, even coming off the bench, looked pretty good. And now, according to reports, Larry Thompson will be the new owner of the team. And Wanya, you do business.
To some degree.
To some degree. I gotta think, in this day and age, having one person at the top, having the final say on things, although there will be other voices, should help improve the product and hopefully get this thing going back in the right direction, because the crowds have been dwindling. It's not what I grew up watching, you know, with these great Eskimo teams back in the day. Now the Elks. There's some saying that with a new ownership, there could be a potential rebranding of the team once again. That doesn't impact me. I cheer for Edmonton. I don't care what the rest of the name is. But what are your thoughts on this happening? And Larry Thompson, who, from what we've heard, also a long-time season ticket holder, so a passionate fan, taking over control of this team.
We don't know the price of the team at this point.
No.
Right. So we'll assume Mr. Thompson is qualified to do this because he's willing to put the money in. And I respect somebody who looks at an opportunity like with a business like this that says, they've had better days in the past and there's no reason why they can't be restored to better days in the future. And they're willing to take it upon themselves. It's going to take a lot of work to fix the Elks, man. It's going to take several seasons. It's going to take a return to grassroots marketing in the city of Edmonton and surrounding area and really trying to connect with people who may never have been Elks fans in their lives. And you're trying to bring them in for the first time or trying to get them excited. Because I think for the long time, the CFL was reliant on legacy fans.
Mm-hmm.
And as those fans got older and older and their kids didn't necessarily pick up where they left off, or grandkids, the Elks have an opportunity to do. I think the timing is right for a purchase of the Elks right now for several reasons. Number one, you've got local teams that are on an upswing, right? The Riverhawks are doing great. The Stingers are doing great. And they're following a playbook, I think, similar to what the Elks need to do, which is let's get out in the community and let's entice people in here, not necessarily because the Elks in 2025 and beyond are the most competitive team in the CFL, but because we can create a great fan experience. And we got to get the second deck back open. What is going on here? This Commonwealth Stadium was built for 2 decks filled with fans. We got to get back to that. We got to set the bar high.
Yeah.
And then take the time it needs to get there.
I didn't mind the plan to shut down the upper deck for now. It doesn't look good with the wide shots on TV. Obviously, you got to fill the lower bowl. Winning football games, it was just a perfect storm that kind of led to the decline there. COVID wasn't great because players couldn't get out in the community and try to see the young fans. The name change, a lot of people didn't mind, but a lot of people did, and that kept them away. Losing. Some of the comments made from people higher up in the organization, one about the majority of the fans that were going to games, the other about winning not being the only thing. In a 3, 4, 5 year span, there was just a lot of bad things that happened. I say win games, people will come back. There's got to be some buzz, some positivity around the team, which I think was a big reason why Trey Ford not playing this year was very frustrating, because he gives you a chance. He sparks everyone up. He gets the team going. He converts first downs. Going 2 and out, in the CFL is crushing because your defense gets no break. For the big boys up front, they're busting their tails. They go off for 40 seconds and they're right back out there. So you need to generate first downs, win field position, give your defense a break. Trey Ford gives you that, right? So having him out there by himself just makes this team so much better. I think, your role forward with Trey Ford, you keep improving this team. That secondary continues to find the continuity to make it strong. And you win games, and I think that's just the slowest way to do it. But Larry Thompson looks like he's going to be the new owner. People asking for a quick buy on him. To be honest with you, I don't know too much. From what I've heard, former owner of Thompson Construction Group, longtime season ticket holder.
The fact, though, that he's willing to write the check to be the owner of this team, to me, immediately qualifies him to be the owner of the team.
Yes.
Right? I don't know how much the team sold for, but it's definitely, we remember during COVID, they were talking about, remember the CFL wanted $100 million from the government or something? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
They were breaking down the team's finances and they had to have a new lease worked out with the city of Edmonton. Isn't the football stadium $1 a year, if I'm not mistaken? I think they really pared the lease back because during COVID, everything was shut down and that kind of stuff too, right? So Mr. Thompson coming in, that's going to be a lot of work, but the fact that you're moving from a community-owned team where there isn't really any one person, as you said, Connor, that's signing the checks at the end of the day, sometimes you need that, especially to get out of a rut or rewrite the ship. You need new energy.
And it'll go a long way. We'll have to wait and see. But you're right. There is a little bit of pressure because there was times last season where there was an Elks game, there was a Stingers game, there was a Riverhawks game. And the Riverhawks games are so much fun, family friendly. We were there during a rain delay and they let people come on the field. I get post game, but the rain delay, that threw me off. I was a little rattled. Are these people breaking onto the field? No, they opened it up and said, go slide around. The Stingers winning obviously helps. $5 for a meal, $5 beers, those things are great. And the Edmonton Elks, the blueprint is there. You got to win football games, but make it enjoyable. Get the young kids in, find that next generation, and give them a reason to come back.
If you're the owner of the team, the on-field stuff is a harder fix, right? Because you need scouting, coaching, general managing. Then you got to take a look at where the team is right now, not at a cyclical high point, and think how much work is it going to take to get the on-field product where it needs to be. A much easier battle to win in the short term while you're working with your managers and your coaching staff to sort out the team is what can we do for the people in the stands right now? What can we do? When would the deal theoretically take place? The off season of the CFL?
I think it would be like mid-season. I think it would change over during the season. So I don't know if there's an immediate fix right there. From what I've been told, concession prices kind of goes to the city because their stadium. So that's tough. The pregame in the parking lot, tailgate, that's the term for it. Outstanding. You got the music, you got a lot like locals, you got vendors. There's a lot of really good things going on. So I really like that. And you're right. If you can't win the game, like win around it. Find ways to make the people have a good time. And that's going to vary for everyone. Like one of my favorite things when we were younger, games not going so well, we'd go down to that bar at the south end zone and they had the $5 beers. Now I know you're not going to get a $5 beer anymore, but we would just go down there, catch up with some people, have some drinks and watch the game from that perspective.
But like yesterday, we were talking with Spec and he was talking about the 78 to 83 Eskimos and watching Warren Moon and like these incredible players. Well, no disrespect to the Elks in 2024, but we don't have a Warren Moon, right? And I think it's been hard for that generation to manage the Elks' expectations because they came from a time where the CFL and the Elks in particular had insanely good players, right? But winning the battle off the field, winning the battle for young Edmontonians and era fans and starting to bring those folks in. I think these are winnable battles. And the Riverhawks, like you said, they've done a great job of activating the surrounding area. Getting the tailgating going for the Elks is great because 5 years ago, that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Right. And you just got to keep working on that kind of stuff.
When you were a young lad, did they have the voucher, like your parents buys a ticket, you get a free ticket? It'd always, I think, be for the Labor Day Classic rematch.
Yeah. And also we had the game where it seemed all the junior highs in town got to go.
Like
that.
You
ever have that game when you were little and you got to see all the other schools?
I don't remember that. I've seen that Oil Kings like hockey hooky day, but I don't remember the football game version.
When I was in junior high, it was like the social event of the calendar. Everybody at the school got one ticket and you went there and all the other little kids from town were there.
Now maybe someone with with young kids in elementary or junior high can tell us. I don't know if they still do that. That's how I bought my season tickets. I went to the Labor Day rematch in 2003, I want to say. Elk Stamps, obviously. It was like 60,000 people there. We had so much fun. The next season, me and 3 other friends had season tickets.
That's how you do it, right? Like you need to have experiences for people that aren't necessarily, was it football related or fun related?
Both.
Yeah.
It was just, the environment was ridiculous. It was like, I want to be a part of this every week.
Back in the day, my grandparents, Grandpa Wanye and Grandma Wanye, they went to the games and they had in Section W 2 full rows of tickets, them and all their friends. And they sat there for, I don't know how many decades of, at the time, Eskimos football. And it was a social event. Their neighbors were there. Their friends were there. It's really hard to rebuild that when those people don't, they age out or they have other things that they want to do. But that community, I think for Eskimos fans at the time, Elks fans now, that was invaluable. There really was a community of fans. It's going to take a fair amount of work to rebuild.
It was great too. I mean, we had people behind us, probably 4 or 5 older gentlemen. Every game they'd come, they'd bring Italian center sandwiches. So then it got to the point where like, hey, you guys want us to bring you some too? So we'd, give them $5 at the game. They'd give us our piece of the sandwich. Like it was like, you kind of had your friends that you'd see consistently at the game because so many people were season ticket holders.
And that's what, whether it's the marketing staff of the team or the owner of the team need to recall is like, it's not all about football. It's about community. It's about going and having fun. It's about going there and seeing the same people game in, game out, and then having those experiences when you are a little kid that turns you into an Elks fan for the next 20 years.
Text coming in here from Clayton. Larry sold Thompson Construction for $800 million last year.
Pardon me?
$800 million last year. So he has some deep pockets. The clear bag thing pisses a lot of people off at Commonwealth, and then that's a city thing. Now, I get, if you are the team, you could find ways to really let that be known, and I'm sure they did. I know that talking to season ticket holders, like you were told about it, but for a casual fan who walks up and, I've got a wife, everyone, I can't bring my person, like kind of an inconvenience. So I get that. I can get how that would bug people.
Can I also add just another reason to love Edmonton 101? There's lots of cities where there's people that are pretending to be much more successful than they are. The Edmonton way is a guy that most of us had never heard of a moment ago. Sold his company last year for $800 million. Welcome aboard, sir. Welcome to the CFL. Welcome to the Elks.
Bone says the tailgate has taken over the in-stadium experience, which is not ideal. But maybe we got to get that carried in.
I don't think the tailgate experience being too fun is the problem the Elks have right now. I think there's a list of things they need to work on. Taking over the in-game experience, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't think he's saying it's a bad thing. But I think just as a fact, it's more fun in the tailgate than it is in the game.
Oh, I see. Well, let's push that. Let's move that.
Yeah.
Right? At least someone's having fun on the grounds. That's a step in the right direction.
That's a step. Like it's bumping. It's fun to walk around, see people having a good time. You got people having some drinks, and it's a good time.
Well, and as much as like infrastructure matters too, right? Like the LRT station being under construction for a long time, Connor, might not present itself obviously as like a problem, but now that that's fixed and ready to go and good to go, there's no reason why the next 10 or 15 years of Elks football can't be a lot better than the last 15.
I think the common person just wants us to get back to, what we once had, the competitiveness there. Winning games gets people in, but just, yeah, like you said, the sense of community, everyone getting behind the team and just on a Friday night, like going out to an Elks game. Younger generation can go out party after. You got those buses that go on the rocks as the party bus. $35 gets you in, a beer, and there and back. Like those sorts of things. Like it's really good when it all comes together.
One time I met recording sensation Flo Rida at an Elks game, Connor. And I said to him, "Thanks for coming to Edmonton." And you know what he said? Blessed, and put his hand on my shoulder. And I'm not afraid to tell you, it was freezing.
Yeah.
His hand.
Flo Rida? Buster Rhymes was here?
Yeah.
Salt and Pepper?
Didn't meet them.
No. Well.
Photo with Flo Rida, though.
I heard Buster Rhymes was like in Commonwealth, back to the airport and gone.
That's a flip mode squad way, though. Time is money.
I get it.
I'll never forget the time Jay-Z was in town and his private flight to the municipal airport was delayed and he ended up going to Ezzy's. I was like, oh no, Jay-Z's at Ezzy's. Like, don't get me wrong, I loved Ezzy's back in the day, but this wasn't prime Ezzy's Jay-Z attended.
Vic says, just win, baby. Metal B says, bring Gizmo back for one game. Just watch him one more time. Yeah, well, Gizmo could probably still play.
Focusing as the new ownership group on the off-field stuff, it would be extraordinarily helpful to get a new Gizmo Williams in the sense of a fan favorite who could have an impact on the games. Because back in the day, like the Giz, I can remember as a little kid doing flips and stuff, Connor, it was a riot, an absolute riot.
When Wanye sells Oodle Noodle for $1 billion.
Then what? You want me to take over the Elks?
Maybe.
Well.
In a few years.
I think the people in this city, like the Gregg family with the Riverhawks, right? And who's the owner of the Stingers now?
There's a few people.
A few people?
A couple. Oh, they have beer.
Minhas.
Yeah. Minhas, the brother and sister.
Yeah. Like they're doing great work and they're putting a lot of energy into these teams that either didn't exist or maybe weren't getting the same amount of love before. I commend them all. They should work together.
It'd be great. Dallas says, I bet you if the NFL game was here, it'd be 60,000 in those stands every Sunday. Toronto didn't have too much. Well, they had success for a bit, but not consistent. Lance said, Elks teams are expensive for what the product is. Yeah, I mean, for a family of 5 or 6, if you want to go out there and have a fight to eat and everything, it is going to be costly.
It's a fair argument that you could make a case the CFL has less ratings now that you're able to watch NFL games as you are able to. But I think that's where you need to focus on the experience again, right? Is you got to get people up off their couches.
NFL, certainly, with all that they do, is winning a lot of people over. JC says, guys, winning's a huge part of why fans are not going.
Yeah.
I agree. Morgan says, Ford and maybe even Leak, we have that now, market it. Yeah, Javon Leaks looks like a good player. Kevin Brown, when he's healthy, is good. Rankin can run the ball. You got Gino, you got Curly Gittins. You got a few other players that, you can get behind and market for sure. Very quickly, Playbook Vic says, with the rumor that the name change is coming back to the Esks, sounds like he sold his business to get the capital to buy the team and change the name back. LOL. Well, long-time season ticket holder. Perhaps that has something to do with it.
Does it really, sorry to interrupt you, Connor, but is it really that important what the team is called to people? Or is that something that we can just hang issues on and be like, that's the issue? Like,
to some people, yes.
Yeah?
To some people, it is a massive issue.
Interesting.
I go to these Elks watch parties, and to this day, still people say, why'd they change the name?
Interesting.
Some people, Not to me per se, but
that's a tough one to fix in 2024, right? Like, I don't know. Would you roll the name back, Connor? Is that something you would, if you were the owner of the Elks, would you consider that? I wouldn't.
It's hard for me because I just don't care.
I thought the team should be called the Edmonton Edmontonians. EE still on the helmet.
You could call them like the Edmonton Roses, and I'd still want to go watch some football.
Rose is a cool name.
Yeah, I mean, well, what's a bad name?
What was the name of that imaginary football team that you liked in that league that didn't exist? The Edmonton Fleet?
Or the Edmonton Flames.
How dare you?
Then maybe I wouldn't go watch. But yeah, team name to me doesn't really matter. Okay, we got to get to break.
Let's do it.
Do you have a good point to make?
No, of course not.
No, because we got Struddy coming up, and he's already going to be mad because we're late. And I don't want to tick off Struddy. You do not want that. When you come back, Struddy. Connor Halley, Declan Cougar, Wanya Gretz, Donovan Paulson with the year. That's the Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word.
Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time.
You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance.
Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Centre's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit edmontonexpocentre.com today.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
for comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Why tee off at the Ranch Golf and Country Club?
A fun, unique layout offering premier conditions. The ranch has been ranked as one of the top public courses in Canada.
Unmatched value. Score Golf Magazine rated the ranch as the best value in Edmonton.
The service, from tournaments to special events to the pro shop. Superior service that makes every visit exceptional.
The Ranch Golf and Country Club, a laid-back environment where anyone can enjoy an amazing day on the fairways. For details, visit theranchgolf.com.
Weeknights from 6 to 9, it's Turn Sports with me, Navin Ramarak. Tune in tonight for the Jason Gregor Show as we'll cover sports from around the world and also right here in Edmonton, exclusively on Sports 1440.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
for comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Well, once again, we had some serious heat this summer. Lots of plus 30, not a lot of sleep. Am I right? Hi, Dennis from Lease Johnson, reminding you that now is the time to book your Daikin air conditioner installation. But Dennis, it's getting cooler. I will just wait until next year. I know, but AC prices are only going to be higher then because of further industry changes. So don't wait. Order your Daikin AC now and get it installed and primed for operation for next year. So when the heat hits, you're sleeping like a baby. Visit wjcools.com today.
The Sports Bar at Century Casino Edmonton is the place for all your favorite sports all summer long, including this. And this. From the diamond to the gridiron, the Sports Bar at Century Casino Edmonton, where every seat is the best seat in the house. Tons of screens, daily food and drink features, plus a game-winning menu with something for everyone. So come out and cheer on your favorite team, including your Edmonton Elks.
Every day is game day at Century Sports Bar and Lounge.
You hear the Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Make sure you get out there tonight and grab your Lotto Max ticket. $70 million up for grabs. Those 40 Max Millions. The time is now. I feel like it's a good day to go out and buy a ticket and collect that cash. Right now, we're going to get into the oil report, brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. The midsummer event is on now. You can lease a new Volvo 2024 XC90 for 0% at Canada's #1 Volvo dealership, volvocarsedmonton.com. We bring in the man from Got Your Back podcast, co-host Jason Strudwick, former NHLer. Struddy, how are you doing today?
Good, buddy. A lot better than Oilers fans, I think.
Well, yeah, we'll get to the Oilers in a second here, but I want to ask you, because we're talking about the Elks and, you know, the attendance and going to games. There's one man who I think can bring a lot of people back to the seats, and he is Elk Man. Will he be at a game anytime soon?
Yeah. You know what? I think he needs to come out. It's funny. I saw my rack the other day, and it's huge, a huge rack. And I think I do have to bring it out. It still fits. Obviously, my head hasn't grown too much. But yeah, I know it's good to see those guys do well, you know, and get a couple wins, feel good about themselves, especially new coach, kind of new, well, I guess, I don't know if it's interim general manager or whatever, but you know, you gotta, nothing makes you feel better than a couple wins and get a little momentum going. You know, hopefully Trey Ford's not out too long, you know, but I'm not sure what it was, ribs or whatever, but it is a positive thing. And I want the sports team for them to do well. I don't want to see them fail.
Did you go to Elks games back in the day, Struddy? Do you remember them in their heyday?
I do. I mean, we didn't go to a ton, but, you know, we go one. It was always like, you know, the yearly event, right? We'd go, and there's people everywhere, and you know, I really enjoyed it. Like, it's a lot of fun. Now, there's a bit of more competition in the city. Look at whether it's the Stingers, and then the Stingers, then you got the Riverhawks, and both those guys, I think, are drawing a bit of the attention away from the Elks. So the Elks got to figure out, you know, what they're doing right or doing wrong, and draw some of that. Those fans back or towards their place at Commonwealth.
And how much do you think maybe has to do with the explosion of NFL on all the different streaming platforms and TV too? If you want to get your football fix as a football fan, you have a lot more NFL options now than you maybe did in the heyday of the team.
Yeah, and that's a good point. You know, and I do think that like, I think winning and having success makes a difference. And I do think that, you know, there's a reason that you kind of want to go and enjoy it. It's also the experience there. And I think that they've tried to make a few changes. And I know the last time I went, it was pretty good. But there are other options now. You mentioned the NFL. I think you look at just streaming in general. Then other sports teams in Edmonton have really kind of grabbed some of that, you know, spending, the dollar spending, whatever you want to call it, towards them. And, you know, the Riverhawks, give them credit, and the Stingers, they've done an unreal job, man. They've really, really sucked a lot of people over to both those sports and those locations.
Absolutely. Jason Strudwick joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you here today. And Struddy, of course, the big news, you kind of touched on it coming on to the top here. Broberg, Holloway, offer sheets from the St. Louis Blues for Broberg. It's 2 years, $4.58 million for Dylan Holloway, 2 years, $2.29. We've had to kind of remind people throughout the show that this cannot be a thing where the Oilers match and then trade these players. Once you match, they are in the system for at least one calendar year. So they would be around for the entirety of next season at those cap hits. When you look at this and maybe envision yourself as management for the Edmonton Oilers, what would be the game plan? Are you thinking you got to keep them both? Do you let them both walk? Keep one, let the other walk? How would you be handling this?
Well, first off, this is a complete disaster for the Oilers, you know, and it is a situation where now you got to find extra cap space if you want to keep them or make trades under pressure, where other GMs are going to know that you're under pressure. So you're going to get pennies on the dollar or have to overpay to get a contract or multiple contracts out the door. So, and I'm not blaming the management. Like, they probably thought that this would get done quite quickly, but I'm wondering, you know, from the player's perspective, did they hear whispers? You know, did they hear perhaps whispers on the old, I don't know, TSN Insider hotline that maybe there'd be an opportunity for an offer sheet? Because for Broberg, he was probably looking at a deal, you know, I don't know what let's call it, $1.5 million or whatever it was for 2 years. Now he's got $9 million over 2 years. So that's a big change for him. And then Holloway, his deal isn't that much bigger than what he made, maybe an extra $1 million or a little bit, maybe, I don't know, whatever, maybe 1 million, 1.2, whatever more. But it really puts Oilers in a tough spot. And I think it's really funny that for Broberg, you know, people were last year, we got to trade this guy. He's a bust. Let's get rid of him. Now the same people are like, they got to find a way to keep him. You know, like, it's just, what a change of position for him and for the organization. So if you ask me if I have to keep one, I'd go towards the D-men, but I like them both. I really like both players a lot. The problem is the D-men's a lot more expensive. So then probably CC or Kulak are gone, and you have to find some other money in there. So, what was such a great summer is now really kind of been thrown a monkey wrench here, and they got to figure this out. And I can't wait to see how this plays out. And it's going to play out in a week, right? Whether they keep them or let them both go for really pennies on the dollar.
How did your opinion of Broberg evolve over the playoffs last year, Struddy? Like, for him to play as much as he did in the finals, not everybody can step in at a young age and play at that level.
No, and I think that he had confidence. He was skating with the puck and being decisive. And that's always a challenge for young defensemen, is that guys that can really skate, sometimes they're hesitant to use their feet. I thought he really used his feet well, both defensively and offensively. But I guess if you're the Oilers, do you look ahead and say, yeah, he is going to be a $4 million defenseman, or he just had a good month, right? And it's probably unfair to say that either way, but up to that point, you'd hope that he could get to that point, but are you sure he's going to be there? This is a $4.5 million defenseman. If someone had said they'd signed Broberg to a 6-year, $4.5 million deal, what Oilers fans have said. So it's going to be interesting. I think Holloway is quite easy to keep. Like I said, it's not a huge amount over what he would have gotten. But for Broberg, I'm guessing guys would have been $3 million more on a $1 or $2 million deal than he would have gotten.
People are looking at different financial scenarios of how you can make this work. What do you think about starting the year with less than 23 players? Is that just too risky of a move?
No, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, you can do that because if someone gets hurt, you can throw them on the LTIR and they can bring someone else up, right? It's not the best, trust me. It's not like I'm endorsing it, but what I loved about the Oilers offseason, they accumulate so much additional talent to what they had before. If both these players walk out, it's a drain of talent, and that is not what Stanley Cup champions doesn't work for them that way, right?
Jason Strudwick joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show, talking Edmonton Oilers and a couple offer sheets today. Did you have any players or teammates that you played with that were given this opportunity to find a new home potentially?
Not like that. No, I don't remember something that way. And if you're a teammate, it's not like you're pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
You're not like, oh my God, what a bunch of idiots. Like, you take it too. Imagine you're a young player thinking you're making $1 million, $1.5 million. Now you're making $4.5 million. Of course you're going to sign it. Of course. But Leon, Connor, Darnell, Hyman, they'll be disappointed because some talent, whether it's those two or others, will be leaving the team. And you want more talent, not less, to win Stanley Cups.
Yeah. Do you think that weighs in to a guy like Conor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl if they are thinking, this is where I want to finish up my career, I want to have a chance to win? It might not even be that much. Like, it might be a $500,000 per season or whatever it might be. Do you think that changes their mind on how much they might look to seek when they sign their next big deals?
Yeah, I mean, they got to figure out what they're comfortable with. Right? They're going to all be over $10 million, and Connor will probably be over 15. So it's not like they're trying to really scrounge together a nice meal. They'll be able to go to Earl's as much as the rest of us. But they got to find the number they're comfortable with and they can live with, and then they work off that. But there's no doubt that, and unfortunately, it's usually the star players that people want to have a hometown discount too, right? How often do you hear, hey, the seventh defenseman took a hometown discount? Like, Josh Brown didn't take a hometown discount to come here. He got his deal that he felt was worth. But unfortunately, even if he takes a 20% discount, that's only $20,000. Whereas if Connor takes a 20% discount, we're talking millions, or I guess millions over the course of the deal. But so I'm going to be really interested to see how this shakes out. That the Leon thing now is still got to be kind of dealt with rather quickly. I think you want to get that deal done. But in the next 7 days, all eyes are on these two players and how they sort this out.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. And, the history of offer sheets, kind of interesting because some teams, they fire back at the other team. The Edmonton Oilers obviously not going to be in a position to do that right now. Maybe even next year, because we've had some people say, hey, go after Jake Neighbors next year. I just don't know if the Oilers are in a position to make that move. So we'll see how it plays out in the next few days here. Struddy, we had a question coming in from Montana to Rice. He's saying, are you expecting 3 or 4 wins from the Giants this year?
Oh, man.
And I want to add, does bearded Daniel Jones add a win or two?
I was really quite high after the year they made the playoffs. The first year Brian Dable came in, And then last year was a disaster. And this year, I'm thinking it's going to be a disaster. You know, Evan Neal already, they got that issue. He was hurt. Now it sounds like he's back. Their offensive line is just, until the offensive line is sorted out, I think their defensive line is getting there. I'm really quite worried. So I think we can get to 4 or 5 wins. But honestly, if we get to 2 wins and just tank and get the guy we need, I'd probably be just as happy as that.
Who is the guy you need, Struddy? We talking quarterback here?
Well, we've got to fix the line. The offensive line is just a mess. So that's always been how many years have you and I known each other? We've talked about the offensive line of the Giants for the last 15 years? Like, at some point, don't you fix it? Like, I just don't understand. There's been multiple GMs. So, I don't know. Ed Hervey's in my head. He always talks about the offensive line, and I just don't think it's there. So, you know, just name me the top 3 offensive guards and linemen. I'll take them. Because right now, it's not working. It's not working for them. The quarterback's running for his life.
I always think back to 2020. It was that weird draft. Commissioner Goodell was in his basement. Everyone had to watch from their home. I had a great night. I ordered pizza and it was terrific. But you guys took Andrew Thomas 4th overall. And I remember thinking, man, you know, if they just delayed 1 more year and didn't take Daniel Jones, they would have had their choice between Justin Herbert and Tua Tagovailoa. Right. And now we're just waiting. What could have been?
Disaster. Absolute disaster.
Struddy, question for you before we let you go. Any camps coming up you want to let the people know about?
Yeah, I'm actually in one right now. So it's my last week. I got a bunch of kids out there, so it's a lot of fun, and just teach them the intricacies of playing defense, and really going well. Actually, my assistant coaches are great. I'm not, but they're helping the other kids a lot.
You say, hey, Philip Broberg just got offered $4 million. You want to learn these things, kids.
My nephew Struddy saw you on the ice, and I got to tell you, it's like he met Bieber. He's so excited to say that he met Jason Strudwick after. It was really, really exciting for him. You do such a good job with all the kids.
Thank you very much. I can't take credit for Broberg, but I do think he saw my Twitter post about it. I think it impacted his career. So that's the kind of impact I can have on your player.
Well, Struddy, thanks for doing this today. We appreciate it as always, and we'll talk to you next week at this same time.
I can't wait to see what happens with these offer sheets, guys. It's going to be really interesting.
Oh, yeah. Quickly, do you think they wait to decide, or do you think it's something they draw out over the next few days here?
I don't know. I mean, it's a new group that's never really dealt with it before. I think they're going to take their time and try to look at every angle of it and figure out how they can get it done.
I think you're right. Okay, Struddy, thanks a lot for doing this. Have a good week.
See you, boys.
See you, Struddy.
There it is. Jason Strudwick, former NHLer, half of the Got Your Back podcast. I always appreciate Struddy hopping on here and sharing his insight. And there might be an appearance of Elkman at an upcoming Elks game.
My 9-year-old nephew is in the Struddy camp right now, or the Oilers camp, sorry. And Strudwick's just the king of the little kids. They just love him.
We have to say this, but he's probably the nicest guy you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
Like one of the good ones.
Unless he's talking about the Giants offensive line.
Yeah. Well, then that requires brute honesty. You got to get your point across. 1-833-401-1440. That is the text line if you want to text into the Ewell inbox. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you here. Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson here as well, keeping us on track on the AM radio feed. Also on YouTube. You want to watch us? That's the Oilers Nation YouTube. If you're on Twitter, it's Oilers Nation Twitter. If you're on Facebook, Sports 1440, and Instagram as well on Sports 1440. Actually, Declan, we're on Oilers Nation's Facebook as well. We're everywhere. You just got to find us. And I recommend you do so because you could have won Oodle Noodle simply by watching us on YouTube earlier today. Congratulations to our winners. We're going to send those out after the show here and enjoy the food because it is elite. Wanye, what's your go-to?
You know, I'll get a butter chicken if the opportunity presents itself. It's not the noodles, but
mac and cheese.
Just butter chicken in a box, rice, very delicious. Singapore box, also very delicious. I don't know. What have you had?
Well, the most recent one was the mac and cheese butter chicken.
And?
Delicious. I was unsure about butter chicken because I had never tried it before.
We're really getting you into some new stuff
I'm
with Oodle
telling
Noodle,
you.
aren't we, Connor?
I had to own it and say, like, I coming into like before you were on the show, I had never had it.
I couldn't believe it when I walked through the door. It's delicious.
I was lost, but now I'm found.
Well, give it a go if you haven't had Oodle Noodle and let us know if it's delicious. we think we'll do a good job for you.
Oh, I'm almost going to guarantee it. Let's take a break. When we come back, 5 questions. We still got Derek van Diest on the show. You're listening to the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation YouTube.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
Rule number 37. Elk Island mosquitoes don't believe in personal space. Keep bug spray ready at all times. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The only thing as hot as the weather this summer is a night out at On the Rocks. Every weekend, enjoy live music and top DJs spinning your favorite tracks. The dance floor is the place to be. Celebrating a birthday or stagette? Let OTR take the work out of the planning for you. Book your party online at ontherocksedmonton.com. Join OTR every evening from 4 p.m. for a great atmosphere and good company. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Grab your Good Vibe Drive and head to On the Rocks, corner of Jasper Ave and 118th Street.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep event. Take up to 50% off mattresses and up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals. And buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplace. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
You wanted local sports on weekends. Saturday mornings at 9, check out the Saturday Sports Setup, where we'll tee up what's happening on the weekend sports scene. Tune in Saturday morning at 9 on Sports 1440.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
for comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The Charm Offensive with Jim Jeffries.
Every generation before you has also been the most progressive generation.
And Jimmy Carr.
I don't know how to explain this to you. I'm not that small, I'm just far away.
One night, two comedy icons. September 8th, Rogers Place. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.ca. The Charm Offensive with Jim Jeffries and Jimmy Carr. Produced by Outback Presents.
At Toyota, we understand life's full of winning moments, like winning shotgun in an epic game of rock, paper, scissors. Boom. Paper covers rock, Carl. And we design our award-winning vehicles with your needs in mind, giving you a front row seat to all life's victories. Except you, Carl. You're in the back. It's time for everyday wins. It's time to Toyota. Lease a 2024 Tundra 4x4 double cab SR5 from $159 weekly for 60 months at 5.99% with $6,599 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
Here's Dr. Vance Elliott to talk about Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery's new website.
We needed to spruce things up a bit and give it a modern look.
Sounds like your website needed a little surgery.
Exactly. It's easier to navigate, much more user-friendly, has an updated patient gallery, and answers to the most commonly asked questions.
There's even a section about you.
I want you to know my story, so you'll be confident that I'm the right doctor to help shape your story.
To learn more, check out the new website at drvanceelliott.com.
Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here Tuesday afternoon. Lots to get to still on the show. We'll get Spec and DVD's opinions, of course, on the Oilers buyouts, or not buyouts. Wouldn't be a buyout. Well, we could ask about those because, those are haunting them right now. But of course, the offers being made to Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway. But first, we'll get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. Tired of navigating a small space or a dorm room? Check out The Brick's small kitchen appliances, organizers, and compact desks and office chairs to make the most of your compact space.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right. 5 questions. Question number 1. We've obviously talked about the offer sheets for Bro and Holloway. I think we would all we'd like to match. We'd like to have them on the team. Hope that's how you guys think. Haven't really been listening much today. But what dollar amount for each player would you not qualify them for?
So you're saying like on a 1-year deal, what would be too high?
Yeah, what would be too high for the offer sheet? Where you're saying, no, sir, we're letting you walk, no questions asked.
I would say for if it's the defenseman Philip Broberg, like even the price right now is pretty high. So, but I'll put it at a nice even one. I'll say $5 million. I might have said nope. In which case the compensation would have been better too. So that would have been nice. And then for Dylan Holloway, let's say 3. Right now, 3.5. That'd probably be it for me.
So you feel both these offers are in like an appropriate range?
Well, no, but hey, that's the biz. Sometimes you got to spend money to make money, and if I want to keep those guys in my system long term, you got to pay the cost. So, I mean, both of them I'd still say are a little steep, and it'd be tougher to swallow, but those would be the max. And even with Broberg, it's might even be the cost that it's at right now. That might be the max.
I sat here in the E-Well studio 24 short hours ago. We're talking about $1 million for each player, talking all prudently like this was going to be a wise investment. From
Yesterday's prices are not today's prices.
Yesterday's price is not. Now, I have a 3-year-old, Wanye Jr., and the trick with him, if he doesn't want to eat food, is you eat his food out of his bowl. And then suddenly he wants it because you want it. But I don't think that's how you should play it with these players. Just because somebody wants to pay Broberg $4.5 million a year doesn't mean we should be paying him $4.5 million a year.
I like your hard stance there.
We got to be prudent. We're paying for like hologram James Neal and Campbell because we weren't prudent. We've put ourselves in a situation. We need to be calm here.
Question number 2. Give me your ideal situation for the following players with offer sheets, LTIR, trades, cap space, etc. Philip Broberg, Dylan Holloway, Evander Kane, Cody Ceci, Brett Kulak.
Ideal situations. I mean, that's a tough one. Cody Ceci, I think, takes a lot of crap from Oilers fans, but I like Cody Ceci. Mr. Game 7, I thought he came through fairly clutch for us in the playoffs. I'd try to keep him around. I like Brett Kulak, but not at like a roster shattering amount of money where we're suddenly talking about having to ice fewer players in the lineup and that sort of thing.
Perfect situation. Evander Kane goes LTIR for the entirety of the year. Ready to come back at playoff time. That's a perfect situation, or ideal. And then I would have to put 3 players down on waivers, and I guess I'm just keeping Cody Ceci because that's what Puckpedia tells me we can do. So I guess maybe it's Troy Stetcher, could be Josh Brown, and Corey Perry, potentially to Bakersfield.
Question number...
That's $8 million right there. That gets us enough.
That's facts. Question number 3. What are your expectations for Larry Thompson and the Elks as the new Elks owner?
I think it's fantastic. I think change is needed. And I don't know, we've heard rumors of people texting and saying they hear that the team name could change, go back to, the previous regime. We'll see if that does actually happen, but they need a fresh voice. They need a fresh face. I think they need someone to come in here and do things their way. It's a successful business owner. We know he's got certain business acumen. So I think that's a really good move. And I like it. I think it's about time this has happened. It's been too long. And I think it's going to be very good for this team. And it's going to coincide with the Trey Fort era, hopefully, where he's winning on the field and then ergo winning off the field as well.
I think a lot of times in business, like in sports, you need to have new energy. And I think if you're a community-owned team like the Eskimos/Elks have been for a long time, it's easy to fall into ruts, right? And even bringing in a new professional CEO like they did with Victor Cui, who's a really good dude. If you're not the owner of the team, if you're not signing the check, sometimes it's hard to be able to make the organizational change you need to make. And I think if you're willing to come in here and pay the money, I think the expectations are high that you're going to be able to turn this team into some version of what it was in the past when it was a really important part of the town.
Question number 4. The Dallas Cowboys have become the first sports franchise to pass a $10 billion valuation. They have not won a Super Bowl since 1996, 1995 season. What are your expectations for them this next season, and when do they win their next Super Bowl?
I think it's funny how there are teams that spend so much money in sports in markets where it matters so much, like the Maple Leafs, like the Dallas Cowboys, and they're just historically inept. And the Cowboys, I mean, when's the last time they were truly well and good? The late 80s?
I mean, I guess you could say, well, the late 90s, mid 90s, probably. I guess you could say they're good now, but they're the Toronto Maple Leafs. Good regular season, flame out immediately in the playoffs without fail. It's actually shocking how similar those two clubs are.
So being worth $10 billion
10.2, yeah,
isn't necessarily, well, first of all, it's hard to arrive at these valuations, but I don't think that really changes the expectations of the team.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be a little while, and we'll have to see what happens with Dak Prescott going forward. Is he going to be the quarterback of the future? I would assume so, because he's going to be giving them the best possibility to win. NFL is so unpredictable. I don't think they could beat the Chiefs in a Super Bowl. I don't know if they could beat the Ravens. Don't know if they could get past the Niners, maybe even the Eagles.
Aren't they playing hardball with CeeDee Lamb right now, too?
Yeah, they don't have CeeDee Lamb.
That's not helpful.
They got to pay him.
I mean, I think Jerry Jones will write the check eventually, but the NFL is such a you-know-what show. 13 years.
13 years of what?
That's when they'll win their next Super Bowl.
13 years from now?
Yeah.
2037?
That's it.
It's incredible.
I don't know.
Question number 5. If you had to pick the best hero of all time in movies and the best villain, which two are you picking?
Best villain for me is quite easily Heath Ledger's Joker. I will love The Dark Knight till the day I die. It's one of my favorite movies, and I think Heath Ledger was so good. I know it's probably commonplace for people to say that one, but I think he was just absolutely awesome as the Joker in The Dark Knight. And best superhero of all time? Are we talking here?
Does it have
not superhero,
yeah,
but like
the good guy.
The good guy, yeah.
Bruce Willis, Die Hard.
That's gangster.
It's a good pick.
For heroes, Declan, I love James Bond.
Classic.
Yeah.
He's one of the good ones.
Yeah, I really do love you some James Bond. And villains in that world, I'll just, for continuity's sake, Le Chiffre, the guy with the scarred eye. Ooh, that's a good villain. I don't know if he's best of all time, but he's definitely good.
He didn't even make GoldenEye, though.
What do you mean?
Was he in GoldenEye?
What's that?
The video game?
Oh, I wouldn't.
He's not like
I think
Jaws.
he came after.
Was he after?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sorry, Donovan. I know you're a big Bond guy. I don't think I've seen a newer version of Bond in a long time.
You've never seen a Daniel Craig James Bond?
No.
What on earth is going on?
Not even Casino
at the
Royale.
Halley household.
Team Brosnan. Actually,
you sports guys need to broaden your horizons a little bit and watch the best entertainment money can buy.
Donovan gave me the thumbs down. I just like Brosnan because of GoldenEye, the video game. I'm open to it. Get Donovan, you bring me in a DVD and I'll take it home and watch it. But
Connor, you should spend a weekend and watch every single Bond movie.
So I think it was AMC used to do the marathons of those.
Those were great hangover days.
Like I would watch. Well, I was too young for hangovers, but I would watch like all the ones up to the 90s.
You're never too young for hangovers.
Yeah. just Wanya is just joking, kids.
Of course I am.
But yeah, I don't know. I think like a marathon of the new ones. Yeah, I'm down for it. Bonds are always good. I just haven't got into
You got to watch the Sean Connery Bonds.
Yeah.
Those are the classic ones.
Yeah, the Pierce Brosnan Bond, although
he was okay.
What about Roger Moore?
I liked Roger. Timothy Dalton was the one I didn't really like.
The Lazenby Bond. I love the Lazenby Bond. What are you talking about?
We really should have got Donovan on for this segment, apparently. He's the Bond guy back there.
Yeah. Like you with college football.
Facts.
Making your own food.
Declan, well done. Good addition of 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. We'll take a break. When we come back, We'll talk to Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet, still to come, Derek van Diest of NHL.com, and we'll keep your texts coming into 1-833-401-1440 in the EWEL inbox. Connor Halley, Donovan Paulson, Declan Kruger, Wanye Gretz, a whole cast of us in here today covering for Jason Gregor as he's out on vacation. We'll be back right after this. The show, as always, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And your Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. Visit a Booster Juice to try the cookies and cream Booster Ball, the yummy little bundle of almond butter, maple syrup, coconut, and gluten-free cookies. You can download the Booster Rewards app and order one today only at Booster Juice. News in the hockey world is the St. Louis Blues have tendered offer sheets to Oilers restricted free agents Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway. Philip Broberg's offer sheet is 2 years with a $4.58 million AAV and a second-round pick coming back in way of compensation. For Dylan Holloway, a 2-year deal with a $2.29 million AAV with a third-round pick coming back in compensation. Earlier today, TSN's Dave Naylor reported that according to a source, the new owner of the Edmonton Elks is Larry Thompson. Coming from the construction business here in town, he was a longtime season ticket holder before selling his company and has made the decision to buy the club, moving them to private ownership. Other news in the CFL, Nathan Rourke signs with the Lions and will become the CFL's highest paid player, set to make more than $600,000 in 2025 and 2026, earning $250,000 for the rest of this season. And MLB scores around the league. Nationals up on the Orioles 2-0 right now in the bottom of the second. Cubs and Guardians 0-0 in at the top of the second. Marlins up on the Phillies 2-0 at the end of the first. Mariners and Tigers. Tigers lead that one 1-0 at the bottom of the second. And the other two games in action, Cardinals and Reds, see the Reds leading 1-0 in the middle of the second. And the Astros and Rays tied at 0-0. Blue Jays will be in action later today as they take on the LA Angels out in LA. 7:38 p.m. first pitch for that one, and it will be Kevin Gausman on the mound for the Jays. A couple pieces of NFL news as Vikings rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy will need knee surgery according to the club. And Jamar Chase was not at Bengals practice earlier today amid a contract saga with the club. In hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Derek van Diest of NHL.com. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers. Or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models.
Wow.
All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in
Gather
Canada.
around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the words.
We're back. Yay.
Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance.
40 in Oilers Nation YouTube.
Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle
Welcome back.
time.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Midnight Friday is the VIP prize deadline in the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation Mighty Millions Lottery. Take charge of the open road with the Porsche Cayman VIP prize or choose $100,000 cash. Plus, be in to win the $2.5 million grand prize, Oilers season seats bonus prize, and so much more. Hurry. VIP deadline is Midnight Friday. Be mighty and support Stollery Kids. Buy now at MightyMillionsLottery.com.
Derek McCarthy here, head of the family at Furnace Fountain. We are expecting another hot summer. So what are you waiting for to install air conditioning? A few sleepless nights? Your family complaining? Or the hot spell when we have a 3-week wait? The time to get AC is now. Our expert installers are typically done in a few hours, and your family is comfortable all summer long. Daikin is offering a $1,775 rebate on a complete fit air conditioning system. Visit furnacefamily.com. Jingle time.
Done right, day or night. Furnacefamily.com.
Hiya, Bobby. You want to go for a ride?
Sure,
Jump in.
I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world. Black and plastic, it's fantastic.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass. Your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Tonight's Lotto Max 70 mil plus 40 max millions. Get yours today. Also, you can use code word SUMMER. Get a free $50 casino play with a minimum $5 deposit. Remember, use your game sense, know your limits, stay within it. Shout out to everybody still watching on YouTube. Good to have you aboard here as well, and everyone listening wherever you're coming from. We appreciate all the texts that are coming in. LJ does not like the Aqua Declan, but that's okay. Declan will redeem himself with our next intro song, LJ. I promise you that. Right now, we are going to get to the Spec Report, as we will be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet. Joins us every day here on the Jason Gregor Show at 5 o'clock, give or take. The show brought to you by GS Construction. They are specialized in underground infrastructure. They make your life much more enjoyable with running water and indoor plumbing. They are the grinders of construction. GS Construction. Mark Spector, Rogers Sportsnet, joins us. Spec, how you doing today?
Doing okay. I was driving the ball real well until I tried to fit one in before this hit, and I just hit one in the bush. So we'll just call it I won't play the hole. We'll call it a par. Is that fair?
What hole you on, Spec? What's going on?
Oh, we're playing golf. Playing golf with Gord Whitehead, the old radio icon in our city. Just sopping up like a sponge the radio knowledge from Gord as we drive in the car together. At the Royal and Ancient Alberta Beach golf course, boys. It's quite a treat out here today. Weather's beautiful. It's a nice day to play, and the Order's got some stuff cooking. Huh? How are we going to solve this little problem here, boys? Have you figured it out yet?
We're going to have to ice 12 players next year, Spec. We're really going to be scratching our heads here.
Yeah, this was a little bit of this was one of those things they didn't see coming, perhaps.
Does this shock you when it happens, when it hits the wire?
Well, it always shocks you because offer sheets are so few and far between, right? Let's face it, we just don't have them in our game. So anytime what happens, it should shock you, particularly a double-barreled one like this. This is a very smart and savvy and orchestrated attack here by Doug Armstrong in St. Louis. I'm told that him and Dubas spent much of the Helenka together in a press box. So they obviously sorted out that draft pick trade together here in Edmonton and used it against the Oilers to make the kind of deal that they're going to have a hell of a time dealing with here, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for those who are just tuning in and maybe just waking up, because if you haven't, you'd probably heard this. The offer sheet's coming in from the St. Louis Blues for Philip Broberg. It's 2 years, $4.58 million. The compensation would be a second-round pick. And then for Dylan Holloway, 2 years, $2.29 million. That's a third-round pick in compensation. So, Spec, if you're the staff here at the Edmonton Oilers front office, what's the plan of attack? I mean, is there any way you can keep both of these players, or do you pretty much have to admit to yourself that one of these guys might walk out the door?
Well, I know what their plan of attack is. They've met all day today, and they're planning. They've got 7 days to figure this out. And at this point, they would have thoroughly reviewed every one of their options, which is everywhere from letting both guys go to making some kind of giant trade that opens up cap space to keep somebody, and every option in between. And now they have to decide, which of these options can we pull off, and which of these options are the kind of thing we can live with. So, listen, my prediction will be that I don't think that they'll be able to save both players here. I just don't see how they do it. So they'll have to figure out which one they can keep. Clearly, Broberg is a more valuable hockey player as a young defenseman. I think we'd all agree with that. Holloway's a middle six winger, but he's also making half as much on the offer sheet side. So this is a tough one, boys. This is 2 first-round picks. You spent first-round picks on these guys, and you're going to get back a second and a third for them, and you develop them all the way. It sucks when you're the Oilers and this happens to you.
Mark Spector joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Spector, are you surprised we don't see more offer sheets? Obviously, this one, for the Edmonton Oilers, it's tough, just their current cap situation. But are you surprised we don't see more GMs around the league taking this route?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the more we see, the more we will see. I think that, Doug Armstrong has shown, hey, I'll do this, and there's other guys, there's other teams, there's lots of capped out teams, right? Lots of capped out teams with young, good players that they're trying to keep on the cheap. So I've always been surprised that the old boys club hasn't opened up and stabbed each other in the back once in a while the way this today. I've always been a little bit surprised, and I guess I'd say to you, now that Doug Armstrong did it, I expect to see more of them, but history tells us there aren't that many, and that's just the way it works. This option's been available for 30-some years, and how often do we really see one of these deals?
We were talking about that, Spec, earlier, and do you remember your thoughts on when the Oilers tried to get Vanek in here? Do you remember that offer sheet?
Yeah, I do, exactly. It's a good thing they didn't. He was not a good player after that. It's a terrible contract.
And what do you think? Looking
Sorry?
back, what about Penner when he got offer sheeted by the Oilers? 5 first-round draft picks.
Yeah, and Penner is, in terms of offer sheets where teams just said, take my player, I'll take the compensation. There was Kotkaniemi in, what was that, 21? And Penner in 07. So that's how seldom a player gets offer sheeted and the team says, forget it. Well, you could have the guy. And they gave Edmonton Dustin Penner. Dustin Penner gave Edmonton a decent season, and then he was a freaking train wreck. So in the end, Kevin Lowe probably would have been better off not signing. Certainly the Vanek thing didn't do anything for him. I think Kevin was the GM back then, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I know he was with Penner. And did Penner turn out to be a great Oiler? He had a decent season, and then, like I say, kind of went off the rails a little bit. So I'm not sure. In the end, that thing totaled up to much, did it?
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it really doesn't do the team making the offer any good because you're just helping the other team negotiate the contract. It just makes it easy for the team to keep their player, retain them, assuming they do have the cap space. Mark Spector joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Spec, some other news in our fine city. The Edmonton Elks reportedly have their new owner, per Dave Naylor of TSN, saying Larry Thompson, local businessman. Yeah. And from what they add in, longtime season ticket holder, will be the next owner of the Edmonton Elks. So what do you think about this move and news for the green and gold?
Well, they certainly, from what I hear from the inside, is they definitely need an infusion of capital. The days of the war chest and the community-owned team and the board of directors having a large bank account to draw on, those days are long gone. There's no money, right? There's no money. So now we're at the point where Larry Thompson has money and he can do some things because he has a bank account to draw on. Now, God bless him for coming along and taking on this team. He'll lose money before he makes it. That's for sure. But I think the days, gentlemen, of the community-owned team those days are probably over. I think it was great when it lasted. But the problem with that scenario is when you start getting 15,000 fans and you can't pay the bills, where does the money come from, right? It doesn't come from the community, even though it's community owned. You got nobody to ask for money. And my understanding is that board has no one to ask for money, and they don't have much anymore.
Mark Spector joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. So, I mean, do you think the ownership alone is enough to get people to come back into games? We've had a few people say that there's reports that they've read that Larry Thompson might consider making a name change once again. I've long said, we want to see winners. We want to see fun players out there on the field like Trey Ford, guys like that. Do you think just the ownership is enough to win back some fans to get them in the seats?
Yeah, I mean, it'll pique people's interest and it'll hold people's attention. And you can do all you want, including going back to the Eskimos. If that's what you want to do, go do it. If you go back to the Eskimos and you start every season at 0-7, it won't matter, right? If you go back to the Eskimos and you never give your team a return man that you think might return the ball more than 5 yards, it's not going to matter. You got to put a team in the field, which they're, the last couple of games they've been able to start to do. We all love Trey Ford. He plays the game we want to watch. But I don't care what you call them. I don't care who owns them. I don't care what color they wear. I don't care what stadium they play in. If you put a poor product on the field, you're not going to make it. If you put a good one on the field, you got a great chance because this is a killer good sports town. So I'll repeat it. Do what you want with the name. Do what you want with all that other stuff. If you went back to Eskimos, you wouldn't hear me complain. I'm here to tell you right now, that's fine with me. But if you go back to Eskimos and start every season at 0-7, it ain't going to matter what the hell your name is it?
I'm with you. And something else that might not matter at all either, the Toronto Maple Leafs naming Austin Matthews their next captain in the historic franchise. What did you think about that decision, and does it change anything?
Well, it doesn't change anything. It's a natural choice. Austin Matthews is their best player, which is the reason Conor McDavid's the captain in Edmonton and the reason Wayne Gretzky, we all poo-poo, Toronto, they're naming a new captain. There was a time when Lee Fogelin passed the captaincy to Gretzky under somewhat the same circumstances because he looked around and said, oh, my God, this guy's way better than me. I'm Lee Fogelin. I'm a good, solid player, but I got Wayne Gretzky. Why am I wearing the C? So it's the natural order in Toronto. I'm not going to scoff at it or anything. Matthews will be a good captain. He's certainly a hell of a player. And Johnny Tavares, good for him. I assume he's going to play along with this thing. And you know what? If this happened in Edmonton, we'd care a lot about it. So maybe it's not fair to laugh at the Leafs for doing it. I think if we did it, we'd think it's pretty legit. Is that not fair?
I would totally agree with you. I mean, I think it's been a long time coming. It makes sense. He is the guy you count on in every situation to go out there and handle the situation, right? He was leading the league in blocked shots a couple of years ago for a while. Scores 60, 70 goals. Like I have no issue with it. I'm a fan of his. Yeah. I think it's going to look good. And it's a long time coming in my opinion. And I'm sure John Tavares had no issue with handing it off. So cool to see.
No, I wouldn't think so.
For sure. Spec, how many holes do you have left? You gonna make it tonight?
Oh yeah. I think we just played 15. I got 3 I've missed. I didn't play it. We got 16, 17, 18. So I'll hit a golf ball yet before we're done.
Easy. We'll get back out there and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, boys.
There you go. Mark Spector in the Spec Report, joining us as he does every day here at 5 o'clock on the Jason Gregor Show. Great to have him on, especially on the golf course. We appreciate him making time. The Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. They are hiring. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction. 1-833-401-1440. It is the Jason Gregor Show. B says Spec was a little harsh. Penner had 93 goals in 4 seasons as an Oiler with a high of 32 and a low of 17. Not great, but definitely not a train wreck.
I thought that was pretty funny. Dustin Penner chapter was hilarious. I mean, the guy had a lot of upside when he came in here, but he just never quite gelled, did he?
He didn't win, or would he have won a cup there with the Ducks?
That's a good question. If we weren't on the radio, I would just make up an answer and say, yeah, I think he did, but I'm not quite sure.
I think he would have, maybe he wasn't even on the team yet, because I think they had rookie Perry and rookie Getzlaff on the cup winning team in 06. Maybe we'll look that one up. Jumping Jack Flash texting in about James Bond. Hello, guys. Shaken, not stirred. The best Bonds in order. Top 3 by far. Number 1, Sean Connery. Number 2, Daniel Craig. And number 3, Pierce Brosnan.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Dustin Penner won the Cup in 07 with the Ducks and again in the Kings in 2012.
I remember the Kings. Yeah.
He's a 2-time Cup winner.
2-time
Our
Stanley Cup
Dustin.
champion. Didn't we offer a sheet Thomas Vanek too?
Yeah, and it blew up in our faces, but thankfully 2 wrongs made a right.
Matt says 8 points in 21 playoff games in 07 for Penner. There you go. Yep. Yeah, big dude, soft hands,
started came in with high expectations, right? The big contract, the 5 first-round draft picks.
Mhm.
Who did those first-round draft picks turn out to be? That'd be an interesting thing to look at.
We could dig back and look.
The army that would have been Dustin Penner's replacements.
Gord says, I'm surprised Daryl Cates didn't offer to buy the Elks. He would have made a great owner, and the cross promotions would have been awesome. Yeah, that kind of might have been pretty cool to see those 2 teams cross promote, but not the case in this situation. According to reports from Dave Naylor of TSN, local businessman Larry Thompson, new owner of the Edmonton Elks.
I would argue, and I have a lot of respect for Mr. Cates. I think he's done a wonderful thing with the arena and owning the team. I would argue it's good to have a different owner. It's good to have people who are viewing the other teams in town as competition, who are going out there and Mr. Thompson's efforts will be solely on the Elks. He's got nothing else to distract him. It's rare to find somebody that has sold their company too and wants to run something like this. Generally, if you're got the resources to own a team, you have a giant business you need to run. So the fact that he has the time and the means, I think this will probably get a lot of his focus.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what they need. They need someone who is all in for the green and gold and really focused about fixing this thing. Press conference Thursday, I believe, to introduce who I'm going to start calling LT, Larry Thompson.
That's cool.
It's a cool name.
Think he could get a 5th down in the CFL? Do you think he has that kind of play, that pull?
I don't know. Not sure if there's that type of swing.
Why not more downs?
Maybe he can propose that.
Maybe he could get a rouge to be worth 3 points instead of 1.
Revolutionize the game.
That's what I'm talking about.
It could happen.
Innovation.
I doubt it, but it could happen.
You never know.
We're looking to change things up. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll be joined by Derek van Diest of NHL.com. Get his thoughts on the Oilers moves today. Maybe a little John Tavares talk, and we'll see what else is going on. We know DVD's a big soccer fan. Maybe get a little bit of a recap of the Canadian Olympics scandal and what is going to happen from that one. We shall see. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey Leduc, it's me, Grant Fedork from Leading Edge Physiotherapy. What you might not know is that I started practicing physio here in Leduc more than 23 years ago. In those years since, I haven't forgotten the kind and welcoming people that trusted me then. It feels great to be back, but I know we have to live up to our promise, and that's to live up to our name. This means bringing a leading edge focus on our environments, technology, communities, and the people who will care for you, like Graham Raymond and Amanda McIsaac, 2 locals who want to make a difference in your life. We're now open in Leduc. Learn more about us at leadingedgephysio.com.
Jonathan and Murray are friends.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Except when they talk about which stadium is more fun in the summer.
Dude, Commonwealth has Elks Fan Park. Tailgating at its finest.
But it can't compare to the old ballpark in the River Valley. Riverhawks games are electric. But ask them who makes the best beef jerky in Alberta, and they'll tell you.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky.
It's the only thing everyone can agree on. So pick some up for your summer pregame snack.
Wilhauk beef jerky, because you don't win friends with salad.
Mr. Rooter goes on a water slide.
Welcome to the Sky Screamer. Please keep your arms crossed over your...
Oh, don't worry about old Mr. Rooter. I'm the last person you have to worry about clogging this pipe.
Actually, it's for your safety.
This plumbing-themed amusement park is amazing. To see the world from inside a giant pipe, it feels like Honey, I Shrunk the Mr. Rooter. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm ready to be flushed.
For a plumbing good time, slide into the DMs of Mr. Rooter.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Bricks Summer Sleep Event. Take up to 50% off mattresses, up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals, and buy more, save more, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and up to 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplaces. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Bricks, saving you more.
The Toronto Blue Jays are on Sports 1440. Every weekend, catch all the action with play-by-play announcer Ben Schulman. The Blue Jays, this Saturday and Sunday on Sports 1440. Edmonton's home for all things sports.
Bacon or sausage and Egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Well, once again, we had some serious heat this summer. Lots of plus 30, not a lot of sleep. Am I right? Hi, Dennis from Lease Johnson, reminding you that now is the time to book your Daikin air conditioner installation. But Dennis, it's getting cooler. I will just wait until next year. I know, but AC prices are only going to be higher then because of further industry changes. So don't wait. Order your Daikin AC now and get it installed and primed for operation for next year. So when the heat hits, you are sleeping like a baby. Visit wjcools.com today.
Employee pricing is on now at Chevrolet. Right now, get up to $10,500 off select Silverado 1500 High Country Crew Cab models. With an available 6.2-liter V8 engine and standard Chevrolet safety assist, including forward collision alert, getting out of the city and having a nice, quiet day on the beach is easier than ever this season. So relaxing. Ask your Chevrolet advisor for details.
Here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, coming to you live from the eWell studios here in West Edmonton Mall. Connor Halley, we've got Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, and Donovan Paulson with you here. Shout out to everybody watching on the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram streams, and everyone on the old AM dial. We appreciate you tuning in. If you missed anything throughout the day, make sure you go back and check it out on the old podcast, Spotify, Google, Apple, or JasonGregor.com. Right now, let's talk to Derek van Diest as he joins us for his weekly hit. Of course, Derek covering the Western franchises in the NHL for NHL.com. Derek, good afternoon. How are things going today?
Oh, things are going great. Yeah, thanks for having me on. How you guys doing?
Yeah, we're doing really good. A bit of a busier day than I think we had originally anticipated with the news for the Edmonton Oilers and the St. Louis Blues. Throwing some offer sheets their way. Philip Broberg, 2 years, $4.58 million per season. And then Dylan Holloway, 2 years, $2.29 million. Second and third round picks compensation if the Oilers do not elect to match. DVD, what do you think happens here for the Edmonton Oilers and these two offer sheets?
Yeah, they got to move them hard now. Now, obviously, their hand is kind of been played here. They kind of forced a little bit with these two contracts. I can't recall the last time a team went after two players from the same team. I saw that this morning and I went, wow, they went after two guys. So you got to, obviously, I guess these contracts, there's always people wonder whether or not it's fair play to try and grab a guy off another team. I know it's kind of back and forth, but now the Oilers are in a bit of conundrum here because they don't have enough cap space, even if Evander King starts the season on long-term LTR, to sign them both at that price. So they may have to make a choice here and say, okay, well, which one is the more valuable player? Which one do we think has a bigger upside? And it might come down to just picking one over the other. I'm not sure if they want both at that price point, considering the fact that they're in the Stanley Cup window right now, so they really have to manage the cap well, because at the trade deadline, you want to be able to add an impact player, and sometimes it's tough to move a roster player to bring back another one. So it's going to be interesting to see what Stan Bowman and the rest of the group over there at the Oilers do, but I would be surprised if they sign them both. I think they might let one walk and keep the other. Which one they keep, I'm not sure yet, but it's going to, they kind of St. Louis painted them in a corner right now by going after two of their players, not just one.
Yesterday on this show, we had Zach Ling of Oilers Nation join us, and of course Mark Spector, and we had asked, just on the RFA topic, what would you pay these guys? And both guys came in around $900,000 to $1 million per season. Now, Philip Broberg, obviously, that quite the raise, 4.58 per year. You would not fault him for signing that offer sheet, and Dylan Holloway at 2.29 mil. Same sort of thing, with a chance to potentially play a little bit more on the St. Louis team. If I were to ask you that question yesterday, before what we know, where do you think the offers would have come in for these two players?
Yeah, no, I'm looking at that. Philip Broberg had a good playoff run, but this is a guy that really hasn't gotten any traction with the Oilers here in the last 3 or 4 years. This is a guy that they're big on, and he just hasn't gone that way. So I would, that's a huge pay raise for Philip Broberg. That's a team taking a chance on a player. I don't think they would have come anywhere near that. I think they would have gone to probably the $2 million route, some sort of bridge contract there. Holloway, the same type of deal. He hasn't really, he played well in the playoffs. He's a good serviceable player in the playoffs. So he would have got a raise, depending on where he kind of sits on the depth chart, where he's going to play. But yeah, they would have given him $2 million a year for the next year. That's something that's almost double his salary probably would have got for the Oilers. So to me, the big Broberg is a big chance. St. Louis taking a huge chance with Broberg. There's a small sample size where he's kind of played well. That was in the playoffs, and this guy didn't play in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. So he didn't play in the second 2 rounds of the playoffs. So they're taking a big chance there. But yeah, he would have no way come anywhere near that with the Edmonton Oilers. And you can never blame a player if someone wants to throw money at you and say, "Hey, we want to give you this much money." You can't blame the player for signing that contract. Someone came to me and said, "Hey, we want to pay you 4 times what you're making right now." I don't think anyone would say, "No, I'm not worth that." So. Of course, he's going to take that contract, that money, and run with it. Now it's just a matter of who's going to pay that contract. And, it might work out for St. Louis if they get a guy, but I don't think he's a $4 million defenseman right now. He may be in the future, maybe 3 or 4 years down the future. But right now, I don't think he's going to play the type of minutes or the type of production that you would expect out of a $4 million defenseman. So I think that's a big risk St. Louis is taking.
Now, Derek van Diest joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show from NHL.com. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you here today. And I guess, fortunate timing, not necessarily fortunate news, but Evander Kane, it's looking like he might not be ready to go for a training camp. And if he does have to undergo surgery, there's going to be a little time on the LTIR. So that could help the Edmonton Oilers. When it comes to, the Evander Kane timeline, what do you think we're looking at here? Because, he talked about the injury going into the playoffs, but outside of that, there's still some uncertainty, but, the timing could work out for the Oilers for at least a little bit.
Yeah, this sounded was something that was bothering him for a long time. Obviously, he couldn't practice, and he was kind of hoping that it would heal on its own. And he was trying to, however it works, he was trying to hope that it would eventually get better, and it seemed like it never did. And I know that the last game he played in the final, that he couldn't even move. It was really bad. He couldn't even move, and he gave it all he had, and he went to as far as he could push it with that. Now, it works out in the sense that, it might help the Oilers with the salary cap, but they still have to move another body to kind of if they want to sign both Broberg and Holloway. But I think what this does is this allows him to get completely healthy, and this might be a player that can help you come trade deadline when you're talking about adding bodies. If you had a healthy Evander Kane at the trade deadline, that's actually like getting another player. That's like getting someone else. Because we know what he can do in the playoffs. He's done it in the past. He's a guy that, he's a playoff type performer. Now, he will be up to speed at that time. I don't know how long this injury will take to heal, but I think it does buy the Oilers some time now when they look and say, okay, we've got to be cap compliant. We've got to figure this out because they made a lot of good signings in the offseason on July 1st, but now you got to fit it all in. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. You got to figure it out where it goes. Having him off the books for a little while does help, but eventually I think they probably want Evander Kane in the lineup, especially if they want to go on a long playoff run next year.
DVD, other news from the city today, and I know you're an Edmonton sports fan, so you see Larry Thompson. It looks like he is going to buy the Edmonton Elks. Just how good of news do you think this is for the team, the franchise, and the city?
Well, I think it's overdue. I think, Larry Thompson comes in. This is a name that I've heard for a while now about him coming in, kicking the tires, buying the team, because now you have one person making the decisions, whether it's good or bad. It's one person as opposed to a collective. The collective obviously wasn't working in the past few years. Things weren't going the way they wanted things to go, and obviously the issue with the name change. And I'm hearing now that they might want to go back to the Edmonton Elks, the Edmonton X. So we'll see how that goes. I think, yeah, you need someone in charge. Hopefully, you can bring some smart people in and help them run the football team and get it back to where it was. Because we made some bad decisions in the management-wise in the last few years, and I just think it's because it's a board, and too many people are kind of trying to make the decisions, and I think it might work out better if one guy is at the top, one guy's making decisions. From what I understand, he's got deep pockets, so financially they'll be well off. So hopefully he can restore kind of some of that glory back to this franchise. I love going down to Elks games. I'm I share season tickets with a friend, and so we go down there. I go down there as much as possible now. I used to cover the team. Now that I'm working for NHL, I get to enjoy them as a fan, and I love those games. I love going down there, and I just hopefully the team can start getting a bit more competitive. We get more people down at the Commonwealth Stadium to watch them.
Is a name change an important part of moving forward, do you think, or is there other things they need to solve before that? How important is that to Elks?
I don't think it's really important, to be honest with you. If they were winning as the Elks, I don't think anyone would care. I think it's because they haven't won as the Elks that becomes a thing. I know there's traditionalists out there. I know there's a lot of people that traditionally they were what they were and want to maintain that tradition. But I think the CFL sometimes you have to go in a different direction. You have to try and get a younger audience here. You can't stop living in the past. You got to move to the future. I thought I love the Elks logo, to be honest with you. I love the logo. I thought they did the name change really well. They kept the double E. So, in that respect, if the team was winning, it wouldn't even be an issue. You could call them the Edmonton whatevers. If they were 9-1 winning Grey Cups, it wouldn't be a problem. The fact is that they stumbled out of the gate with the name change. They couldn't win. They couldn't get things together. But I thought of all the problems this franchise has had over the last 5 years, the name wasn't one of them. I think the name isn't an issue there. I think get some smart people, get some people to run this team properly, and get some players that can win some football games for you. And I think people will forget about the name change.
Derek, final question for you. I know you're a Cowboys fan. CeeDee Lamb still remaining away from camp, needing to get him signed. But what is your outlook for the Dallas Cowboys this upcoming season?
Nah, that's a good question. Every year, Cowboys are kind of like the Toronto Maple Leafs. Every year is going to be their year. This is their year. This is their year. This is their year. And they're never able to put it together. It's going to be a big year for Dak Prescott because if he doesn't get it done this year, then there's going to be questions about his future in Dallas, whether they go a different direction. And I think the Cowboys have been fortunate because they've had a good succession of quarterbacks in the last few years, and they haven't really gone where they really struggled for a quarterback, where they didn't have a guy that was the number one guy. I'm a big Dak fan. I think he's a great quarterback. You surround him with other good pieces, he'll win for you. But I think it's going to be a big year for him. There's going to be high expectations on the Cowboys, as there are every year. But yeah, if they don't win this year, then what do? Do they blow it up? Do they start again? I'm not a Mike McCarthy fan, to be honest with you. So I'm kind of, he's still there. I just don't think he makes good decisions in the clutch. But we'll see. I think if they're hanging around and they get into the playoffs, anything can happen if they go on a hot streak. But yeah, they do have to sign CeeDee Lamb. He's got to sign, and then hopefully Dak's have a big year.
Always something going on. I think Jerry's going to open up the checkbook and to get CD in there soon. But we'll see what happens. DVD, thanks so much for doing this today. Great to have you on.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Derek van Diest, NHL.com. What I like to call a regional reporter. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but he covers Canucks, Oilers, Flames, and Jets for NHL.com.
I've been reading his work for a long time. It never occurred to me that his initial spelled DVD. Well done.
Really?
You're a genius, Connor.
DVD. It's
genius.
Perfect. Some text coming in here. This one, interesting. Hacksaw says, hey, buddies. My only question about Larry Thompson purchasing the Elks is why? Unless this cat has a bottomless pit of cash and zero issue with losing millions a year, I don't get it. Hacksaw.
Let's pretend you just sold your construction company for $800 million. Now, I'm sure you have other shareholders and you have debt that needs to be retired and a bunch of other things. But after all that's done, you've got an enormous pile of money. And you can do whatever the heck you want in your life after that. And if you want to buy the Elks and give her a go, that's why you're doing it, because you can.
And I also think, the Elks, the Eskimos, profitable business in the past. Can they
Is
get
that
back
true?
there? I have to believe it is.
We heard talking about the war chest. Was that Spec talking about? They used to have a big war chest and they're community owned.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to get back to that. I think there's definitely probably better things he could be doing with his money if he wanted a higher ROI. I think he views this as a way to contribute to the city. Otherwise, you'd be doing things that have purely financial reasons. There's a love element to buying the Elks.
I think, as long as you're not burning money every year, it's probably like maybe a bit of a passion project as well, trying to get them back into it. Maybe a challenge to himself. Can I be the guy who fixes this? And if you do, well, you don't need to pay for your beer in the city, maybe. Even though he could afford to do it, he might not need to. But yeah, I'm really interested to see. Looks like there's going to be a presser later on in the week. Of course, if and when we'll have it for here on Sports 1440, make sure you get all your coverage of whatever's going to happen with the green and gold. A good week for them, man. 2 straight wins, maybe a new owner. Things are looking up for the Elks in our fair city. And we'll keep it up. They're off in Hamilton on Saturday, 5 o'clock kickoff, taking on the 2-7 Tiger Cats. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up. It's the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, as well as the Oilers Nation YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Rule number 62. Never miss a free pancake breakfast. It's unheard of and, frankly, a little upsetting. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
You adore your Audi, value your Volkswagen, baby your Beamer. But some of that love fades when repairs take several days and tons of cash for the dealership to do their magic. Let Cochran's Automotive rekindle the flame. They'll professionally repair your import, usually in one day. Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Honda, and Toyota. Cochran's Automotive will return her to mint condition. Open at 7 a.m. Let Cochran's Automotive repair your automotive air conditioning before things heat up. Cochran's Automotive, 780-452-5001.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Island Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada, with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
For over 65 years, Denim Ford has delivered the customer service and value that keeps Albertans moving. And nothing moves Albertans better than Canada's best-selling truck, the Ford F-150. Here now with rates as low as 0% or savings up to $17,000. That's the value you've come to expect from where cars always cost less. 0% or $17,000 off F-150s. Only at Denim Ford in Wetaskiwin or at denimford.ca.
Whether it's your family's first RV or time to upgrade, we're always here to help at Vision RV. Hi, Larry Ricci inviting you to stop by Vision's brand new showroom today. Out on the lot, literally acres of new and pre-owned models. Are you into deep woods camping or more in the comforts of glamping? You'll find it here, the right RV at the right price. Quick on-site financing, and remember, we give you more for your trade at Vision RV. Easy to find, just south of the Yellowhead on Highway 60.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up.
In 40, Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you here. Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson as well. The text line, the Ewell inbox, 1-833-401-1440. If you got any comments before we wrap things up here today on the show, In case you missed it, Haley, Taylor, Simon. We had Gord Stellick, Dave McCarthy, Struddy, Wanye, and DVD. If you missed anything, check out our podcast section up at jasongregor.com or Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get them from. Make sure you go check those out. You can also download the hour-long shows. Some news from the NFL. It's looking like Brandon Ayuk is inching closer and closer to staying with the San Francisco 49ers. Earlier today on Fantasy Frenzy, we had talked about how it was that or the Steelers. The Niners and Steelers had reportedly come to terms on a contract or a trade, but they also had an offer in place from the Niners. So it was pretty much Ayuk. If he wanted to stay in San Francisco, the offer's there. If he doesn't, it's a trade with the Steelers, and the Steelers had a contract offer as well. From what we've seen, Donovan was showing me during the break. It looks like the Niners have come closer and closer, raising that dollar figure up to keep Brandon Ayuk in San Francisco, which I think is a great move. Obviously, he's a good downfield threat, great route runner, helps complement Deebo Samuel, and we're still waiting to see what's going on with Christian McCaffrey. He's got the foot injury, so I mean, if he can't go or has to sit a little while, you obviously want to have Brandon Ayuk there. Declan Kruger, maybe you join us in for this conversation as well, because we know you're a big football guy. But Wanye, I mean, for me personally, you're coming off a team that you just lost in the Super Bowl. If Brock Purdy stays healthy the year before, who knows what happens? Like, I think I kind of want to stay in San Francisco if all things are the same.
Not only that, but just the amount of drama, right? What did he said he wanted to go to one team, then refuse. What was the whole thing?
I mean, he didn't want to go to New England,
right?
But they were in there. Then the Cleveland Browns reportedly had some offers, but then they pulled out. So it came down to just the Steelers or the Niners. Those were kind of his two options. And now it's looking like San Francisco. Declan, I mean, it feels like we could have avoided this. Maybe it was little scare tactics to try to get that dollar number up.
Yeah, anything you can to chase the bag. I mean, if you're Brandon Ayuk, the ideal situation is San Francisco, without question. We've talked about it. When you have the amount of weapons surrounding him, he can really thrive the way he thrives. And he's a great player, don't get me wrong, and his numbers reflect that. But when, we talked about this, it's going to sound a little bit like a broken record. When defenses have to worry about Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, you're going to get yours. If you go into an offense if you go into a New England offense with a rookie quarterback, no other real receiving targets in that receiving core, that wide receiver room, all of a sudden you're keyed up on by the, with the defensive assignments on the other side of the ball. Maybe you start to realize, maybe other teams start to realize you're not the guy you thought you were. In San Francisco, 100% in the perfect situation.
Also today, Nathan Rourke signing a 3-year contract to return to the CFL with the BC Lions. He said that, he had hoped to maybe land in the NFL this year. If you play 3 seasons, you got that NFL pension, which isn't too bad. So there is reports that Rourke could try to get back to the NFL, but he'll finish off the season with the BC Lions, making $250,000. And then the next 2 seasons, 2025 and 26, north of $600,000, so the highest paid player in the league. It is looking like Nathan Rourke. We know what he can do. I guess for the future, you have to ask about Vernon Adams Jr. and where he'll be, because after this season ends, obviously he's not going to be wanting to sit behind Nathan Rourke for the remainder of the deals. But Vernon Adams obviously was playing at such a high level before the injury, and looks like an MOP. Rick Campbell says the team will not trade him. So they've got some nice depth out in BC at the quarterback position. Declan, what do you make of Rourke maybe just saying, you know what, put the dream on hold for a little bit and just go play football and take some reps?
Well, it's an age-old argument, right? Like, do you want to be a guy who rides pine and probably makes a little bit more money and bounces around and never has that stability? Or do you want to be someone who can actually play and build a degree of a legacy in the CFL and actually be involved in games? And now, we know he's going to be the highest paid quarterback, which is nice. It's not exactly NFL money, but he's getting paid to play football. I think there are a lot of guys who would take the former, and I understand that, but I think there are also a lot of guys who would maybe look back at the end of their career and say, I would have liked to be out there. I would have liked to have taken the ladder after all. And I think that's where Nathan Rourke found himself. And I think the reality is he's probably just not good enough to be in the NFL. No disrespect. It's just how it is. It is how it is sometimes. I wasn't good enough to be in the NFL either. It's just how it goes. But I like him in BC. I think he's going to walk in the door of that facility and be the best quarterback in the CFL, or one of the best quarterbacks in the CFL. Very, very interesting to see what's going to happen with Vernon Adams, who I really like as a quarterback. Oregon guy, as you know, so I like him. I think he's a good quarterback. Hamilton's been a potential landing spot they've thrown out for him. I could see it with Bo Levi getting benched there, but yeah, as far as the return to the CFL for Nathan Rourke specifically, I like it. I think it was a good decision.
Yeah, and I mean, the decision for me back in 2023 when he signed in the NFL, I was a little confused going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They did have obviously Trevor Lawrence, who was a first overall pick, and then you also had CJ Beathard, who's a veteran of the NFL. Tough to beat him out. You go to the New England Patriots, it doesn't work. Then the Giants and the Falcons, maybe just the writing on the wall that it is time to move on. And we had a lot of people saying like, "Well, go back and watch the preseason games." But when he was in there, this is not opinion. Second and third teamers he was going up against, and he was making some plays enough to keep him around on the roster and get him a few more looks. But for now, I think going back to the CFL where he's had success, probably the right move. In 2 seasons, he only started 2 games in 2021, not the best numbers. But then you go to 2022 where he started 9 games, appeared in 10, 25 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, 3,300 passing yards. Ran in for 5 touchdowns on 300 yards. Like, he's got the mobility. So, hey, if the NFL doesn't work out and they don't come calling again, he's going to play for a long time in the CFL, still just 26 years old. Lots of good football ahead of him, and nothing wrong with that. I mean, you look at some of the great Canadian quarterbacks, or not the great CFL quarterbacks, Canadians is a whole other level. But, geez, life after football, coaching, media, I think he's going to be okay, Wanye.
Yeah, he'll do all right.
Oh, good timing. I know you were going to go on a long rant there, but the music cut you off. So,
oh, yeah. That was a good rant, Declan. Well done. You know your ball.
There you go. Well,
I
thank you
listen
guys.
to the Jason Gregor Show every Monday to Friday, 2 to 6 on Sports 1440.
Oh, I do.
That's how you learn a thing or two in the biz. A big thank you to all of our guests for coming on the show today and all of you for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. If you missed anything, like I said, check the podcast and you can definitely hear it all over again. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock to do it again. Up next, it is Turn Sports from 6 till 9. Then overnight, we've got Fox Sports Radio for Donovan Paulson, Declan Kruger, Wanye Gretz. I'm Connor Halley. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Right now, we are going to get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Rhoda Exclusive, an exclusive membership with luxury assets such as magnificent holiday properties, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, boats, and more. Travel, drive, and relax in style. Join now at RhodaExclusive.com. Limited openings.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, one final time from us, Edmonton Oilers news is the St. Louis Blues have tendered offer sheets to the restricted free agents Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway. Philip Broberg's offer sheet is a 2-year deal with a $4.58 million AAV and a second-round pick compensation coming back for the Oilers. Dylan Holloway is a 2-year deal with a $2.29 million AAV and a third-round pick compensation coming back for the club. Reports earlier today from Dave Naylor, according to sources, that the new owner of the Edmonton Elks is going to be Larry Thompson. Coming from the construction business, he sold his business and was a local longtime season ticket holder here in Edmonton, allowing him to buy the club. Nathan Rourke signs with the Lions. He will become the CFL's highest paid player in 2025 and 2026 and will set to make $250,000 for the rest of this season. MLB scores around the league right now. Nationals lead the Orioles 4-2 in the top of the 5th. Cubs and Guardians tied 1-1 at the end of the 4th. Marlins up 3-0 on the Phillies in the end of the 5th. And the Mariners trailing the Tigers big. Tigers lead that one 11-1 at the end of the 4th. Reds up 2-0 on the Cardinals right now. Astros and Rays tied 1-1. Athletics up on the Mets 7-1. And the Red Sox leading the Rangers 1-0. Only one other game into the MLB that just got going. The Twins lead the Royals 3-0. Toronto Blue Jays in action later as they will take on the LA Angels out in LA. A 7:38 p.m. first pitch for that one, and it's going to be Kevin Gausman on the mound for the Jays. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Turn Sports is up next. Fox Sports Radio at 9. The Kevin Carius Show coming back on tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. On behalf of Connor Halley and Wanye Gretz, I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station. Broadcast.